of the It's All Relative podcast. And this is a roundtable episode. And we're expecting a few more people, hopefully. Right now I got my good friend Irene and Matthew. You've heard them on the last roundtable. And they're going to be joining me right now for this episode. So let me just bring up the topics that we had. I guess how have y'all been doing? How have y'all been living?
Oh, pretty good. Keeping busy, keeping productive. Happy New Year, Samson. Happy New Year, Matt.
Happy New Year 2020.
2020.
We're in the 20s.
Our decade. Our first of the decade, this episode?
No, I did one a couple weeks ago with my friend Nate.
That's
and
right.
so this is the second episode of the...
Second episode is 2020.
2020, yeah.
Awesome.
And actually, let me see if I can get a second.
Okay.
All right, we're actually, if you guys are listening to this now, Brandon, when do you usually upload it? Within, 4 days after, 6 days after, 7 days after?
I usually try not to wait longer than like a week. It shouldn't take that. I don't do too much editing.
So if you're listening to this now, NAM would have already passed, but as we're recording this right now, the National Association of Music Merchants Convention is tomorrow, and everybody basically has their NAM plans. They're going around everywhere. The city of Anaheim, California is packed with every kind of rock star and musician you can imagine. So I mean, it's usually in the Anaheim Convention Center, you just see people going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we have a good variety of people right now. Right now, Brandon's grabbing some equipment, looking for another microphone to grab. Giving you guys another update. So the funny thing is, right before Brandon showed up, I had a little science project. I took an acoustic guitar and taped random junk to it just to turn it into a drum kit, and I had my August Rush moment. So if you guys are following, of course, our band together, mine and Brandon's band, pt.II official on Instagram. You can watch videos of that and multiple other gadgets and things like that. But yeah, it's NAM Eve right now. I'll say today that it is if you're listening to it now, it's a week later. Today is the 12th? No, it's I'm way behind. See, I'm not counting my.
No, it took me a while.
Yeah, I don't have a calendar in my room like I should. I got the calendar downstairs. Yeah, and I got the calendar in the kitchen, but I'm going right to the meats and the things. I mean, were you? I forgot. Were you Vietnamese, Filipino?
I'm Filipino.
Yeah, I was just at Chowking earlier.
Hey Matt, my channel does not work. No, it has a hard time running two things at the same time. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's how cheap and crappy this VA is.
Oh well.
That's why I use it just for vocals.
Let me
Well, then again, one band had it. I think it's just the problem with that microphone. It can run two things, but I think it's just that microphone that's having trouble.
What if? So anyway, I previewed the topics that we were going to be discussing, and I don't try to speak on authority on anything or try to go too deep into stuff, but it's. Oh, it isn't? Okay, sweet. Hello! We got two more folks joining us. Lovely. What I'd like to see.
Well. Hi. Giselle.
Matthew.
And Brianna. Nice to meet you.
Brianna, Matthew.
Hi, okay.
Giselle. Hi. Jackson, Matt. Brianna.
Nice to meet you.
Giselle. Brianna.
Good to meet you. We were just starting things off. So, I don't know if you all had a chance to look at the podcast topics, some of the things I'd be talking about today.
Did not. I didn't even know I'd be on it. She was
gonna
sit out. I was like, no way.
You don't have to participate or nothing.
We always have a conversation. I kid you not, and it's always a podcast. episode. I feel like it should be.
I mean, that's all we're doing is just talking about shit that happens to be in our mind. Hold this for a second.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is Giselle. I want her to promote her book, promote her poetry. So this is her.
Hi, my name is Giselle Leva, and I have a book called Lovers and Other Drugs. And if you want to get it, it's on Amazon. And hopefully you like, it's erotic poetry, so hopefully some of you out there like love erotic poetry and like self-love, also positivity and things like that.
And Brianna, did you want to share anything?
I'll just get into the convo.
Okay, cool.
All right, excellent. So, let's go ahead and get into some of these topics. I never really know first thing I want to start off with. I guess one thing I'll talk about is I recently did, so with the episode we just did with Nate, my good friend Nate, I love that motherfucker. We clash heads on so many interesting things, or in very interesting ways. And one of the things we talked about was like hero worship and stan culture. And it was we were just talking about like, certain figures in culture or in politics, that people I think give disproportionate attention to, or try to assign much more value to their decisions or how they live their life than is necessary. Like, so Keanu Reeves is a good example, right? So like, I think Keanu's cool as shit. He seems like a pretty decent guy and has had to deal with plenty of tragedy in his life. And just, kind of seeing the almost quasi like obsession and I forget the term, but it's when you date, like, what's the term when
Deify someone?
Deify someone, or that shit they do with saints in canonize them and whatnot. It's like, when it came out that he had a longtime girlfriend or whatever, and people were like, oh my gosh, it's great that he's, dating somebody his age, and it's like, okay, obviously that can be a good jab at like Leonardo DiCaprio or dudes that are always chasing younger, people. I'm like, okay, it's nothing to make he's not a fucking saint because he's dating a woman who's within, the same decade at his age range. I just feel like, with that, or with, we were talking about politicians like, AOC or Bernie Sanders and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I like them, I like them and I support their ideas and shit, but some people, they glorify them and they put a little too much energy into worshiping the individual, going farther than just, supporting the ideas. And you see it on the opposite, where some people will just defend somebody just because they stand for them, no matter what opposing view, comes against it. So anybody else want to say about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, like, to a certain extent, like, some people will glorify and stuff like that, but it's like, inevitably so, psychologically speaking, I think you can recognize parts of yourself in a lot of people in the spotlight, or you try to find them. But it might come from like an egotistical standpoint even, where you're like, oh, well, I see part of myself in this person, so it's like, now I like them, It's like, I get that. And I'll give you like 2 examples, like, everybody like talks to Beyonce heavily. And like, I'm not saying she's not like amazing, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like, if we met in person, I'd be like, oh cool, like nice to meet you. Like I don't think I'd be like, oh man, like I spoke with you heavy, like the vibe, like I'm so into it. Yeah. But like you mentioned,
hyperventilating and shit.
Yeah, but like you mentioned like Keanu or like AOC, and it's like I watched a documentary with AOC, and like I identify with some of her, even like her little quirks or like little personality like type of thing. That it's like, oh cool, like I feel like a good vibing person. Like it's like just this weird connection I think that some people can have. Sure, you're gonna have like the extreme, to the left, to the right, where it's like you extremely hate them just because you don't know anything about them, or like you fuck with them because it's trendy, But it's like you're gonna have the real people who are like, no, like I think he's cool, and it's legit, like it's legitimate, But
it's interesting that you bring up psychology. I always feel like, because when I was was younger, when I was a teenager, I was kind of like, well, not kind of like, for me it was mostly like dance. It was like, oh my god, they're gods. Like, it's like, I'm gonna worship them. But it's more like an escape. I feel escape from like whatever you're going through. And it's like, if you don't like your life, it's just like, oh my god, like that person is a god. Like, and I also think it's because like, I feel like it's ingrained in us. It's like as human beings, because like back then it was like monarchy, you know? Back then people were like, following one person, and it's like, I feel like people still kind of, and also like, we always talk about like dominant and submissive people, and I feel like it's always like the people, like the submissive people need someone to like follow and like lead them, you know? So it's, I feel like it's kind of like that, but you know, it's just my opinion.
Yeah. So like with back to Keanu, we've kind of seen like a shift in how he's been viewed, how Keanu's been viewed by media. Like a long time ago, back like around 1998, 99, the acting community actually viewed Keanu in a very negative light. They viewed him as just a terrible, very shallow actor with not very much ability. Like there were people that were wishing that it was Tom Cruise that was cast in The Matrix instead of him, just because they were thinking, oh, this guy, you know, in Matthew East's parody of him, they depict Keanu as this guy. It's like, all right, it's me, Keanu. So what I want you guys to do is go that empty part of your head when you act.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're crying in the sketch, but what you gotta do, you gotta act like me, is you gotta go that empty part in your head. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh, bro. That's like who Keanu was to everybody in the 90s. But now because of that shift, you know, now everybody's like, you know, the deity Keanu is kind of what's in. And a lot of people forgot that caricature of goofy, airheaded Keanu.
He was typecast in that or the character.
That's why when you said like somebody who's like foolproof, nobody hates, there's still a lot of people that still have that 90s view of Keanu in their head. That's like, oh, there's that it's that airhead again.
That meme that always comes up with his face, and it's like,
The Ted and Eric's face, or whatever.
Again, like to an extent, I feel like just consciously, maybe people just appreciate, even if he's goofy or he's weird. Like I feel like, there's definitely been a shift, and I think it's conscious, like. You know what I mean? Like, generational.
People are not being assholes as much.
Well, I think it's like freedom, like that exists a little bit more subconsciously. Like, be weird, like, I don't give a fuck, like, just be yourself, you know? So it's like, maybe there's that appreciation from people now.
Jim Carrey was the same way, remember?
Yeah,
People, they only saw him in like,
but again, like I said, typecasting.
They like that.
Yeah, boxing people in, and so now we're seeing people like, especially with social media, like we don't care to see like your roster of what movies you've done or whatever. It's like we want like reality, you know, like we want to see the real life. Again, we don't know how real those people are anyway online because you can filter everything, but it's like, you know, I think we see past just like the popularity in Hollywood more to like the person, and Jim Carrey is a perfect example.
Matthew McConaughey too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is with Jim Carrey, like you said, is that he was somebody whom I was really giddy when he started to do like more serious stuff. Adam Sandler. I haven't seen Uncut. I haven't gone to see Uncut Gems. But the thing is, like with these, like with Adam Sandler and shit too, it's like even in his films, even though you could argue about the quality of them, they always had a tinge of like being very human characters, even if they were super exaggerated, and trying to get across a moral. It's just that he had a lot of dude bro juvenile humor over it, and sometimes that could help, you know, take it over the edge.
The male population.
Yeah, they weren't bad. They come from themselves because they're like, we come from this kind of goofy, airheaded, bro culture and shit, and we've grown up, but we still kind of have this, you know.
That's why I always love. I hate when people say, "Oh, Adam Sandler was a horrible." It's like, no, he was doing satirical work. It was like people didn't understand because, like, I get it. Like we were younger. When I saw Billy Madison, I was young, so I was like, "Oh, this guy's funny, this guy's cool." But now when I watch it, I'm just like, "Damn!" Like, there's something. I still think it's funny. I think it's stupid, but it's like there's some things that you're just like, "Oh shit!" Like. This happens in reality, you know, there are rich, you know,
people to do whatever the fuck they want, you know, it's just dropping the cement.
Yeah.
He made sure they were documented.
These movies, like, think about the time when they came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're such, they influence comedy, you know, in a great way, I think. It's like, I don't know how old you guys are, but like, when I was in high school, early high school, like, Superbad came out. Or like, and it's like the Judd Apatow, like, like, coming more into the mainstream. And it's like, in my opinion, like, those things changed comedy up to now. You know what I mean? Because comedy was one thing, and then it just sort of became like trendy, kind of like young, like real kind of thing. I don't know if you guys noticed that shift, but I definitely did. And it's just like, these people aren't afraid to go out of the box. And it's like, sure, in that moment, they might be categorized as like weird or odd. And sure, because they are in that specific time, but it's like looking back at it, you're like, oh, cool, like, I mean, Billy Madison, too, like, I don't want to say like ahead of his time, but like, he really just didn't give a fuck. Like, he was like, I'm gonna do all this crazy shit, and it's like, there have been movies like that before, and like you said, you know, he's always been doing that.
Juno's another good one, too.
We're
just talking about this too, on the way here. We're talking about, Pop Pilgrim. You know, back then, you know, like, people would be like, oh, you know, nerds and all this shit, and now it's like, oh, cool, like, you know, the great movies are coming out that, like, don't have one certain, like, I don't know, like, audience thing like that.
Yeah. That was actually one of the overarching points I was going to make about that whole thing is that, to circle back to Keanu, it's like, he found his strength. He recognized what his strengths were. You know, because he tried, of course, like any other actor, to try to branch out and do other types of films, and that shit didn't work out. You know, and then you know, when he had The Matrix, which that was an interesting point in time because, you know, like, the questioning of society and recognizing that we're just, you know, are we really living a real life, or is this just shit that we're being, you know, spoon-fed? But the other part of that was this, you know, him just kind of being a cog in the machine and kind of being that, like, airhead dude bro, and still kind of carrying that same energy, but with a confidence of understanding the deeper truth and shit. So it's like, okay, this isn't him just being an airhead. This is him recognizing the terms, recognizing things as they are, and this is the way that he deals with it, or this is the energy that he carries along with it. And then also you got to think about how long it takes for cultures to change and shit. You know, now something like The Matrix, if you show this to somebody, they'll think like, oh yeah, of course, duh, of course we live in a simulated reality and shit like that. But at the time, it's like it was a big thing because most people don't go to school. That was like some deep psychology, or not psychology, fucking philosophy. Yeah, that's like shit. You have to go to a graduate program to discover in philosophy, and they broke it into the mainstream. You know. Yeah, and then of course, and one more thing, of course, you know, people talk about the red pill culture. That was apparently, from what I understand, that was a reference to transgender identity. That the red pill was based off of a pill that people in the 90s that were transgender would use for the hormones and stuff. Taking the red pill actually had a completely different connotation. It was going into the reality of it was dealing with their body dysmorphia because both of them. I forget their names, but they both transitioned to women.
Oh, the Wachowski.
The Wachowski, I guess, sisters. Yeah, they're not twins.
Producers, people?
Director, producers, writers. They're not twins though, but they are. I think they're
siblings.
They're siblings, but they were, you know, known as the Wachowski brothers, and now they're sisters, basically. And so that's what the whole red pill shit has turned into.
They were the director of The Matrix.
Yeah, they wrote and that was their shit.
So the first time I saw The Matrix, I was in 11th grade. It was a philosophy class called Theory of Knowledge. And it was a class, literally, the whole idea was, why do we know the things we know? Like, has it been ingrained? Was it taught? Nature versus nurture? You know, has it been in us all along, or did we learn it from somebody else? So we watched The Matrix in that class. And the teacher was like, before anybody says anything, just have an open mind, you know. A lot of people were like, oh, of course it's fake, but then she's like, how do you know it's fake? So that's that shit that's just like, it'll mess with your whole way of thinking. I was watching Interstellar, and it did the same thing to me. Like, I'm like, how do I know this is not possible? How do what makes me think this can't be real, you know? Like, I don't know. Like, is this a storyteller telling me that this is real, or is this like straight up Hollywood? But it was one of those movies that just like changes your way of thinking or opens your mind even more. That and The Matrix.
Okay. It's kind of like, it goes way back to Star Wars too. I was watching this documentary about Star Wars and like how George Lucas was so ahead of his time, and he was coming up with this with stuff that was like futuristic, and it was like when Luke, he got a new bionic hand. It's like now that's happening, and that's why they call it sci-fi back then. It was like, but then again, it's like they're coming up with things that it's possible. It's just you have to find the right people that know what to do, how to create it and stuff. But it's like, not to be cliche, but like nothing is impossible, Like, especially now during this time, things back then, like, back in the 80s, like, people thought that the 2000s we're gonna have flying cars and stuff. But like now, more in the future, it's like we're not there yet, but like we're getting there,
Yeah, and I mean, you want to take it all the way back, like 1984,
Oh yeah.
Oh girl, that was in the 50s, early 50s, and it's like, Irene's talking about her philosophy class. I had to leave college my second year. I didn't learn that much from my classes, but I mean, you want to ask yourself, where do these people get their knowledge, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually reading a book by Terence McKenna. I highly suggest it or recommend it. It's called Food of the Gods. And it's basically about how the earth offers a lot of people like these spiritual, like, translations of like knowledge, and it's like, again, you want to ask yourself, like, well, how are these people like so ahead of their time, or how do they know to write this? And it's like, I think more more than ever, generationally, society is more open to exploring like levels of consciousness and more open to accepting that they exist. We don't know everything, and it's like, and that's part of the cool thing about it. Especially now with the internet, like we're so free to exchange information. It's like, hey, I was thinking the same thing, or like I had the same experience you did. Like, how the hell is that possible? And it's just really interesting to like explore. But another thing I wanted to touch on was like this speech by Charlie Kaufman. He's a writer. I don't know if you guys have seen like Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
I
love amazing Jim Carrey.
So he was basically talking about, in this speech of like writing, because I enjoy writing, or like I like learning about writing. So he basically talks about how to like free yourself from like trying to box your own self into categories. And so if we all just kind of start there, no matter what our creative process is, even if it's not writing, it's just like, make cool things.
No, absolutely. The importance, it just underscores the importance of having it, stirring one's imagination, keeping that active, and curiosity. And I know a mistake that I made in my late teens and early 20s was I didn't realize, or I was never taught, or maybe I didn't really fully internalize that like creativity and shit is like a muscle. It isn't just something that you can just rely on spontaneously to when you just feel inspired, quote unquote, whatever the hell that happens to me. Because that's rank, you never know when that's gonna happen or what's gonna take you out of that mode.
That was just an hour ago for me today.
Yeah.
When you were walking in.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I try to tell myself, or that I've try to think about it, it's the limitation of being yourself. It's like, like you just said, on one hand, it's like we do need to reflect more on what it is that we really want, and accepting the ways in which we go along with the mainstream, and which ways in which we butt head with the mainstream, or whatever status quo we happen to be living in. So that's good, on one hand, and then on the other hand, it's like you also have to, come to grips with, okay, but what are your limitations? Or what is, the scope of your experience and everything that you see? Because the whole of the human experience and shit is not experienced all in one person. no one person has every human experience, and, you know, it's a puzzle, it's, you know, like they say intersectionality, you know, it's taking all these different parts and all these different, you know, saying experiences in life, and recognizing that everybody is coming in with a different set of, you know, handicaps and advantages and whatnot.
Yeah, like earlier, I was like, oh, I wonder who rents this place, and it turns out you're one of them. So that's that whole wanting to explore myself as an artist, as a creator, because
You want to do events and stuff.
yeah, like I don't just want to do it in Pomona. I love Pomona. That's where Il Cruz was born or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to expand some more and. And so that connection with you was like that's something too that'll bring growth into my creativity. So thank you for that. Thank you for the networking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we met each other from the Dope Spot.
Yeah. That's yeah, because I started doing stand a couple years ago. I started doing stand up still, yeah.
And so like now we're both doing this and doing that, and so it's like it's a beautiful thing when you connect with people that lets you grow as an artist, as a comedian, as a band member, you know, so that's pretty cool. And that just happened right now.
Yeah, you went to see them?
Well, I just realized that one part, but it's, yeah, you're going to attract your tribe.
Yes.
The more you start kind of unlearning, like, these behaviors or patterns that you've been, again, nurtured into that aren't so healthy, you know, they're restricting, they limit your freaking sense of self.
You gotta be vulnerable.
And honey, you're
Yeah,
bumping
exactly.
you start bumping into other people who are also going through their transformation, their ascension, and it's like, how cool is that? Again, you know, the internet, people want to like, more generationally speaking, like older folks want to like bash it, you know, like, oh, the internet's such a terrible thing, but it's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, it's a double-edged sword, just like many other things are, but it's like such an amazing thing. And I know that's why it's so censored and so restricted in so many parts of the world even still. And even here in America, you know, all of North America, it's going to start becoming more and more censored, more restricted, because hello, like in the age of information, I mean, what can't we teach each other? What can't we, you know what I mean? And it's like thoughts and ideas, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with V for Vendetta, like, thoughts and ideas, like, they live forever, and like, now, again, more than ever, you know? Like, they can bring books, but once we exchange that info, like, it lives in me and it lives in you, you know?
Yeah. And excuse me, I know one of y'all mentioned 1984, and one thing to not forget about that, the whole premise of that book, isn't that the government or corporation inspires people to burn the books. It is anti-intellectualism in the populace. It is a lack of, they reverse the interest and curiosity for, you know, learning more about the sciences, learning more about the arts and humanities, and discovering more about how to organize society. You know, there's a term for that, it's called reactionary. It's a term, you know, basically for people recognizing that changes, like so-called liberal changes and more freedoms and rights people will get. And there's always a movement of people who feel like, well, no, it's a zero-sum game, because for them to get something means I have to lose something. But just to underscore that fact of like, okay, yeah, the information, you know, basically the gatekeepers, a lot of the formal gatekeepers have been dethroned, or their power is slipping away. And they see that and feel that, and so of course in different places there's different levels of them pushing back against that, some more successful than others. But it's also important to remember that we are regularly, you know, we regularly interact with people whom make decisions that affect one another's lives, and these are just our neighbors, people we go to work with, school with. And a good, another like cultural piece, I guess we've been talking about different movies and shit today, but is Starship Troopers. I just rewatched it for the first time like a couple months ago. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. Now, I come from a lot of the men that I know in my family, you know, they've participated in the military and whatnot, and none of them said that they want us to go into the military and shit, and none of us did. like people have like federal jobs, they have like public jobs where they work in the private sector, but like almost no other of my family members that I know of drafted in the military because they're still very anti-war. It was just that, their way out. But Starship Troopers, for those who haven't seen it or if it's been a while, it was a book, and then it got adapted to a film, a super campy film that is still hella popular. But basically the premise of it is that it's selling a very modernized and socially liberal type of fascism. Basically it's fascism if it was socially inclusive.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, it's fascism if it was all about including all humankind, under the effort to destroy an entire species of bugs. And if you're somebody who's aware of war propaganda, or just propaganda in general, you'll know that, the terminology of referring to the entire group as bugs, and that using phrases like, oh, they have to be annihilated or they have to be destroyed, is something that's commonly used with groups who commit genocides and shit, just throughout human history.
You have to antagonize.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you have to demonize them and dehumanize them, yeah. And so, Starship Troopers is basically about that. Now, there's a lot of controversy about it because the writer, he seems to have gone more reactionary, more right-wing in his career as he went along. So a lot of people see when he wrote it as it being adoration, showing adoration for fascism. And then when the film was made in the late 90s, at first people were saying that like, oh, this is endorsing, how could they make this? Because this is endorsing fascism and shit like that. And it's the thing I've come to realize is that like with satire, it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, if you are somebody who is like anti-war or is always skeptical of the government or, wary of propaganda, or you try to empathize with the other, side, because oftentimes in war and shit conflicts, you'll just hear that, oh, this thing happened to us, okay, but why did they do that? And then a lot of people who are just bloodthirsty, they'll just focus on the other side as being the antagonist, and framing them as the antagonist, and not owning up to the ways in which maybe they stirred shit up for the other group.
Yeah.
And for them to possibly maybe act in self-defense and not being the antagonizers. So for somebody like me who's aware of those things, I can laugh at it because it seems so over the top, so hyperbolic. But at the same time, there are people whom, if that is a,
They're propaganda.
yeah, the propaganda thing is if you are somebody who stands for this shit, then you're going to look at that and you're going to be emboldened by it,
Yeah, that's the thing about satire. Like, I love satire, but it's a gamble. It's like you're either gonna make people laugh about things that they're already aware of, or you're gonna inspire this like negativity that you didn't mean to inspire, but it was like, it's not your fault that these people don't know that, because that's all they've known is this negativity, And so to them it's like, oh, the person's a genius. Oh, oh, it's like, oh, I don't wanna. Never mind. But it's kind of like their version of, people are going to hate me out there, their version of their Bible, I guess. Not their Bible, but basically saying like,
their sacred text.
Yes, their sacred text. They're just like, if it's in the movie, that means it's going to, they're only going to take out the things that have to do with their rhetoric,
They reinforce what they believe.
Exactly, yeah. So it's
Affirm what they come,
It's kind of like, remember our friend, Ezekiel? Like, he's a comedian, and he does these jokes that are like very, they're racy, they're like controversial and stuff, but some of us get it. It's very hysterical. And but he always gets like a silence from the room because it's like it's very taboo. A lot of people don't really make fun of certain things that he does, and it's like, but we get it because he's bringing it up. Yeah, because that's his art and his way of bringing it up. So that's his way of being satirical. Exactly.
It's still getting talked about.
Exactly.
Even if it brings, even if it brings like a
negative vibe from the crowd, I guess, but he's still talking about something. And it's always something important, it's nothing like crazy or whatever. But it's just, that's his way of talking about topics, and a lot of them get shit from the crowd, but I'm like, that's what it is, you know what I mean? Like, Samsa's done comedy, so he knows what it's all about.
And it's like, too. Did you know his new special? I don't know if you guys did his special. Yeah, he talks a lot about, like, and it's not, oh no, go ahead, like, I mean, well, yeah, he talks a lot about, like, serious shit, but he makes fun of it, but he's just like, just because I'm making fun of it doesn't mean I'm against it, you know? Like, he was talking shit about, like, gay, he's like, I have gay friends, like, my friends, like, they love my jokes, and, you know, like, and it's true, it's like, you don't know the person just because they say they're bringing up, social issues, like, they put them in literally in that box. Yeah, like if they talk about maybe like, I don't know.
I think when you have a platform, right, especially when you're like, you have a mic, or you have like, or you write, you're a director, you know, or you do stuff like that. We were talking about like propaganda and movies and stuff like that. And it's like, it's such an art form. I think people forget to be the devil's advocate and show like this other side of the river, like, or of the street. You know what I mean? Like. And yeah, of course, you're gonna get like mainstream or like the people you know on a certain vibration, understanding it on a very superficial level, sure. But I think the art form is that there are like messages on the hallways and like so many things to be learned from these pieces of work, you know. So it's like, yeah, it's the same through all platforms. But
there's a reason why they wrote about something.
And again, it's art, you know, it's like, you don't have to get it, like, you don't have to, like, this guy's head, like, and he just started writing stuff, or he just started saying stuff, like, you don't have to understand it, like, you don't have to agree with it, like, it is what it is.
That's his art.
Yeah, and now, again, like we were talking about, we look back and we can see how a lot of these people, their writings, their movies, their whatever, like, it actually resonates, you know, maybe they were tripping one day, and they, you know, heard something or saw something we didn't, and it's like, okay, well now we can see it, and now we can understand it. And I don't doubt that there were people back then that were like, whoa, shit, that was really like amazing, you know, but it's not always recognized. Nicholas Tesla, like, he wasn't recognized for shit. They thought he looked crazy or he died by himself, I think. So it's like, you know, it's not sometimes until later. Yeah, that the mass kind of like
that's what I say.
Yeah,
that's what I say, like, some people, like, you should do your, you should do, like, artists, like, you should do your art for art's sake. You know, don't do it because, I mean, if you want to make a lot of money and that's your goal, you know, that's your goal. But if you're doing it because you want to do art, like, don't bitch about not making a lot of money because, come on, honestly, like, art, unless you go into, like, you got connections and shit and you go into the industry, yeah, you'll make money, but if you want to do it to, like, express yourself and, like, inspire other people who are probably going through the same shit as you, like, you know, do it, you know, don't care what other people think, you know?
So, like, earlier when you were mentioning, Starship Troopers, I think one of the important things they left out in the movie adaptation was, I think, changing the nationality of Johnny Rico's character kind of lost an important point that the author was making.
Wait, what was he in the book?
So, Johnny Rico's character in the movie he's Argentinian. In the book, he's Filipino.
Really?
So, and there's an important relationship between Filipinos and the Navy, because in the book, Johnny Rico's character is like a, you know, military Navy, and there's a power relationship between white men and Filipino men in the Navy, and that's kind of, that book was written around the time of the Cold War. This book, the book Starship Troopers kind of hits home with me a little bit, because my dad's oldest brother, Jose, he's basically Johnny Rico to me. He is that character. And then just the name, because Johnny Rico's name in the book is Juan. So Juan, Johnny, Rico. So my uncle's name is Jose, but they call him Joey. It's like, oh, it's Joey again. And then, you know, the whole thing with the indoctrination on the ship, like, most of the Filipino men in the Navy were like waiters or cooks on board the ship, and they would, you know, serve the food to the high-ranking white male officers. And that was like the relationship that they had with them. And in addition to that, the other, I think part of like the combat indoctrination to make yourself more aggressive, you know, I know they had Johnny Rico like participate in like some punishment activities where he had to, like, they would have you get used to hurting your fellow soldiers for insubordination. I think one of the things they had my uncle do was they gave him like a baton and a helmet and had him go on drunk patrol and beat up the sailors that had too much to drink. So it's stuff like that, with the psyche, because that's kind of what they lost when they switched out the nationality, the ethnicity of Johnny Rico's character, because the Juan, that Filipino character of Johnny Rico is like, and the relationship between white men and Filipino men in the military is a big chunk of that story and the message.
They don't want to cause more drama because they know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're like, let's not stir the pot anymore, That's crazy.
And it's right in the middle of the Cold War.
Well, yeah, but, back then was different, they didn't really give a shit about, and then you go into a lot of different topics. I haven't seen, what was the Starship Troopers. I haven't seen it, I just screenshotted it.
The book is way different.
That's interesting.
But right now, just hearing you talk about, how they changed, a whole nationality, that's the thing, because then it gets me thinking about, colorism. And, Argentinian sounds more like, Argentinian.
Casper Van, the character who played Johnny Rico, Casper Van Diem, he's not even Argentinian, he's a white man.
There you go. So it's
And the thing is with Argentinians, they're a group of Latino or Latin folks they're very predominantly white. You feel like you're in a European country.
Yeah.
Or
That's exactly what came to my mind. So when I was listening to you talk about that, I was like, oh, that fucking sucks. You know what I mean? Because it's such a substantial part of this book, and it has such an opportunity to really make people think, about the color of our skin in such a different way, especially back then. What year was this?
Yeah, it came out in the 90s.
Late 90s,
and the book was in the 70s?
And to touch home even more, it was filmed over at Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Baldwin Park, just around the corner from us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm for sure not gonna miss it now.
It was a high school scene. So movies like Deer Hunter, and it also it teaches you about growing up too. It was a big part of it, because there's a scene where they're all graduating high school, they're all going to prom. And they shot that right outside of Kaiser Permanente Baldwin Park, and everybody's like, oh, we're so happy that it's like the loss of innocence. It's kind of what that seems. We're so happy. We don't know what we're getting into. We don't know who's going to get killed. We're just having a good time at prom.
And they're listed to go to war.
Yeah, they're listed to get citizenship. Was
Oh, okay.
That was the part that we missed. Yeah,
that's on that.
Yeah, that's part of one of the defining things about the fascism, thing is that it's that not necessarily that policy specifically, but the whole idea that you are elevated if you participate in supporting the state, patriotism and shit, and participating in militarism. As a matter of fact, I want to double back to the artists and criticisms and quote unquote cancel culture and shit. But before that, to go deeper into the whole fascism thing, one of the components of that Matt had brought up was the use of violence, because along with the dehumanizing your enemy and making yourself feel that you are superior and that you are also pursuing something that is practical, because there's a scene in the movie where a bunch of people, they ask them, all the soldiers ask each other, hey, why did you join and shit? And it's a lot of them, only one of them, I think, out of half a dozen said that they wanted to become a higher ranking officer. The rest of them were like, I want to become a citizen so I can pursue this career, or, you have to participate in the military, become a military vet in order to become a parent. You can't have a child if you don't enlist as a soldier.
Wow. That even touches on a dystopian fiction almost, type of rhetoric, right? Because it's where the government, starts trying to take control of your body, well, more so than now, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
No, absolutely, because the thing is, people don't know is that along with prison labor, and along with people who are just at the bottom of the pole and shit, a lot of people who are becoming military recruits, they do a lot of experimentation on soldiers, There's a long history, there's a long, storied history of that to this day. And the funny thing is that, like, you will see regular people who will valorize the soldiers and shit and talk about, oh, you're not supporting the war, you don't support our troops and shit. And you're just like, I'm not the one who wants them to go across to another country and die and then doesn't give them benefits and shit and give them health care. Like, most veterans, or excuse me, most people who are homeless are some type of military vets.
Yeah.
And the largest number, I think, are vets from Vietnam.
Yeah.
So these people who have been homeless for 30, 40 plus fucking years. They just got completely...
Mental health doesn't get a lot of attention. A lot of these people with PTSD and like they've been through traumatic experiences that not every human can take. Yes, there are people who can like go through war and like you come back like unscathed, but it's like some of these people, not everyone's too strong, mentally. Some of these people come back with illnesses and then they end up on the street homeless. It's ridiculous. Like, after fighting for their country who's supposed to take care of them and they don't, that's bullshit.
Yeah. And then I'm called a communist because I'm like, fuck all wars, take all our military bases and shit, like close a lot of the embassies and stuff, because that's just that's foreign land on your homeland, basically.
Yeah, touching back to what you just said about, like, from a business perspective, it is not in my best interest to give these people mental health treatment. It is not in my best interest to give these people a voice. It is not in my best interest to gather, young kids from wealthy families to enlist in my war. So let's start there and, work our way up. Because of course, if I come from a wealthy family, I see no reason to enlist in the Army. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I have so many opportunities laid out for me, like plain and simple. Sure, I may be a little emotionally unstable because whatever other reasons I may be going through in my life, but I'm affluent. My parents are affluent. I live in an affluent community. Like, there hasn't been anything that I've seen that caused me to think twice about not enlisting in the Army. Other than patriotism or like my family maybe glorifying, like, like enlisting in the war. There's like this documentary, I forget what it's called, but it was with Michael Moore, and he goes around asking like people, again, I don't know like the location, but it's like these high upper up people, and he's like, hey, like I have the application right here for your son, like he's that age, like how about you like sign him up for the Army, how about you sign him up for the Marines? And they're like, no, like I'm not gonna talk to you. And he's like, oh, but you're so quick to be okay with other people's kids. But anyway, he just kind of puts it into perspective, especially seeing it on TV. It's like, oh, damn, like, there are people who have a choice. And a lot of people, like you said, like, they're young. They don't have a choice but to enlist in the Army. And they see that as their way out. And it sucks that, it's the propaganda that makes it seem like that's the only way that they can take. But it is a reality for a lot of people. And education is like, well, you can go to the Army and get an education for free, but it's like, is it for free? But yeah, that's what they're telling these kids. They're what, 18 years old? Like,
You get to travel the world,
Honey, I'm seeing commercials and I literally feel like I'm dreaming, and like, it's so heartbreaking, but it's such a reality that we live in, and I think the more we talk about it and the more self-aware we are, the better we are for it. Especially because, if you're enlisting in the Army or whatever, if you're making an informed decision and it's something that you can go into maybe, understanding some of the realities of it, sure. But going into it blind like they do to a lot of kids is like, it's a business, it's the reality of it.
Born on the 4th of July is like another like clear depiction of that in detail. I showed Brandon a clip of it, and it shows like Tom Cruise's character just being seduced by the drill sergeant and the instructor and the recruiters coming in. They're marching, they're singing, they're doing the cadence. And then they depict Tom Cruise's character's friend, he's an entrepreneur and he's kind of looking out for himself. And they depict him as like a selfish character who doesn't really care about the country. But towards later on in the movie, he's the one who actually has it the best. He owns his own fast food restaurant, and he's the one giving the job to Tom Cruise's veteran character after he gets out of the military. So he's the one who worked out for the best in the movie. And then you saw everything that happens to Tom Cruise's character. He loses the ability to walk. He's put in a veterans hospital, which is really dirty and unsanitary. And there's a lot of like mistreatment, and then they're showing the Vietnam War protests and everything that kind of goes on as a result of that. So like Born on the 4th of July is a direct example of that indoctrination leading to you screwing yourself. So I couldn't really put it in a better way, but you're pretty much like screwing yourself when you're signing your name on that paper.
You get them so young.
Oh yeah.
I remember they would go into, during lunchtime when I was a senior, and they would go to the senior walk, which is like a long one where all the seniors hang out. So they would talk to those guys, and me and my friends were like, don't do it, don't do it. You know, and don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I was like, dang, like, of course it sounds so, they romanticize the military. They do say, oh, you get to travel, you get to have this car, you get to live anywhere you want, whatever, you get benefits. But it's like, okay, how long am I going to wait for that?
Yeah. And again, the communities that they're targeting, right?
Yes.
So they're walking around like, doesn't anyone know?
My high school was in Chula Vista. A lot of the population were Latino, Black, Asian, or Filipino, low income, and it's like they target certain high schools more than others, you know, more than the ones from fucking East Lake and shit, where all the rich kids were, well, back in my day. So, like, it was the whole, like, I'm sure I'm gonna get this kid because he wants more of this compared to this kid who's more privileged, I guess, you know, like this kid wants to, like, it just sounds so romanticized, and I'm just like, damn, dude, don't do it. Because they're so young, and we're not, 17, of course you want to fucking escape, you know? You're gonna be an adult soon, so you want to do whatever you fucking want, like, right away. And that's where they get you, is when you're straight in senior year of high school, where you're about to either go to college or go to the military, or else you're not doing anything. Yes, exactly. So you don't want to be that in the middle. So either you want to go to college, even community, I don't care, community's fucking bomb, but community college or whatever type of college, or the military. And I see a lot of my friends that did, like, even the police academy, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe this dude, like, he was a fucking stoner, you know what I mean? He was always drunk every weekend, and then now he's in the border patrol. And I was
wow.
Like, yeah, and I was like, wow, I can't,
that's a 180.
They just get
indoctrinated.
Well, some people are just, some people, there's a term that I heard Dr. Cornel West, who is so he's Dr. Cornel West, I forget if he teaches at Princeton or Harvard, but he teaches, you know, he's a social justice type Christian man and philosopher. Yeah, he's awesome, a wonderful thinker, has made a lot of great contributions to American thought in the time he's been around. But he used a word to describe how, because somebody had asked him about identity politics and, you know, social justice and stuff like that, and he said, do you agree that, like, you know, like the criticisms about some people on the left that are just overly focusing on identity politics, and, you know, and the other side saying that no, we need to focus more, and he said, what I want to see is that you need to be, more so than just being able to wave a banner or say that you're associated with this group, you need to be fortified. Like, you need to be able to deal with the fact that people are going to push against you. You know what I'm saying? You need to be able to accept the fact that not everybody is going to welcome your opinion with open arms, and there's always opposition, and that even to the people who are in your general space and whatnot, they're going to have slight variations in the way that they see things, and people are going to, the thing is that we are still going to have to work with and engage with people who have done things or said things or still believe things that we don't like, but that we have enough overlapping interest in goals and shit that needs to be the primary goal. You know, and not getting, because one thing I notice is that the more I pay attention to, like, the political groups, especially online and whatnot, is that a lot of them seem to just be more interested in the cosplay of it, in the just being able to put, be able to reference different theory and just, talk specifically about particular leaders and shit, activism. Like, okay, but what is it y'all are practically doing? And it seems like that y'all are so focused on which clique y'all belong to and gatekeeping around that shit that you're not able to actually draft or be as effective in the things that you're doing. You constantly wonder why your numbers are so low or why, we say, oh, we can't, there's no way we can work with such and such because they think this. Okay, but what about the 20 other topics, the 20 other issues that you see eye to eye on? So what about forming a plan to actually get that shit accomplished?
Oh my god, yeah, no point. Yeah, it's also, it's kind of like, I always feel like to go back to some people not knowing or not being able to I don't want to say wait or something, but actually see what the fuck is going on. I feel like it's mostly, like in my experience, it's like mostly like my older parents and my older, uncles and aunts, especially like Hispanics and like people of color and stuff. It's like, well, I'm thinking more immigrants too, because when people come from other countries, it's like they have that fear that like I have to follow this rhetoric or I might go back.
Right.
And like it's very sad because we are a country made of immigrants, so it's like I don't want to say the 1%, but like the rich affluent people that control everything, like they want to keep people that don't really have like money or even stabilization here in the country. They want to keep them as pawns, They want to sort of keep them dumb. I always think about, I don't know if you guys have seen Idiocracy. What is it?
I saw Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, yeah. It's funny, and I get it. It's very, very satirical. Like, if nobody's seen it, like, you should watch it, because I feel like that's what's going on right now. Or the start of what's like, yeah, but hopefully not. People are starting to, like, see, like, maybe we shouldn't be doing all this stupid shit. Like you said, follow people, clicks. Like, they don't even know what they believe in. It's more of, like, where can I belong? That people, like, accept me. So, like, it's very crazy. It's very, like, again, psychological. It's like people haven't grown up, nobody's really mentally mature yet. So I always think, like, it's very controversial, but, like, voting at 18 is so, like, is it temporal or isn't fully formed yet? I don't know. Something isn't fully formed yet. Like, I feel like, yeah, until you're 25, yeah. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing until I was 25. When I was 25, I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what am I, that's true. Some people are, like, older and they still don't know what the fuck. But, like shit like that, like, a lot of these, like, kids, like, they're malleable. Whoever said they're malleable, like, when the military starts to come in, exactly. Because for them, it's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, these are the only people giving the options. And also, like, nobody else ever makes them believe that they can do more than what people think that, like, put them in the box to do,
Yeah. Somebody else has something to say? About,
I
was going,
I don't know, I just went everywhere.
No, you're good. No, you were basically the tangent that I was or basically the third line I was trying to say between Irene talking about how somebody who was like a stoner slacker could become border patrol.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Matt had made a reference about how, like a culture of violence can be inspired, where people are taught to participate in something because, I have to get this paycheck, even though I'm not maybe normally a violent person, I still have to go treat these other people a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Or even though I don't really want to evict these people, they say, I'm just taking orders, I'm just doing my job. And so when I was saying, referencing Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, when he said fortified, is that this individual, this stoner slacker became border patrol, was, he may have been able to understand the part about, being hedonistic and, questioning of authority and whatnot, but he was not fortified enough in understanding the true principles behind those things about personal autonomy and respect, for others and not participating in certain institutions and shit, that when he was like, when he needed a job and shit, he thought that was an adequate, path for him. And of course it's like people are not, I don't really believe in black or white in terms of most people's identities. It's like there's, even though somebody can say that they believe in one thing, there could be 1,000, multiple ways that they come to that conclusion. And that's what defines the gray, the gray within that. In that case, I would say that person's like a right-wing libertarian type of conservative libertarian, because they can understand the element of, okay, as an individual, I want to be able to do the things that I want to do, and nobody else can really impinge on my rights. But then at the same time, he's able to exert power over other people's autonomy and shit, because how convenient that you're the one who has the reins of power. You're the one that's in your place, as in the reins of power, and everybody else is in their place as your victim and shit.
Right.
And
I mean, let's take it all the way back, okay? Elementary school. This is how we grew up. We grew up with these power dynamics, right? So people always kind of boxing us in. You either are here or you're here. And I have a say-so. So, I mean, you're talking about finally someone giving these kids an opportunity to be that say-so person. You know what I mean? Quote unquote. Because you really don't have a say. Somebody's telling you what to do. But it's the power trip.
Yeah.
And then we want to ask ourselves why someone can carry a gun and exert power over people when they have little to no education. Can we talk about the police? Okay? They don't have to have much education to hold a gun. Versus practicing law, which takes about 10 years. Okay? Let's talk about it. Let's take it all the way back. And it's power dynamics. That's what it falls into, and that's what it's going to keep being. It's a business, again, it's a system, it's a machine, it runs this way. So it's, again, not in my best interest for y'all to be exploring your consciousness. Not in my best interest for y'all to be talking about this. Yeah. Okay? Like, that's what it comes down to. So, again, come get us, sis. Girl, okay? The fact that now, again, I'm going to go back to the internet because it's such a tool and we forget that it is. We just want to post pictures of our food and all that stuff. I get it. It's cool. It's fun. But also communicate with each other. So whoever's listening to this, talk to one another. Communicate with people in other states. I follow people in other states that I feel closer to than some of the people around me physically. And it's such a beautiful thing to experience. And that's what it is. Communicate, create a community of people. Talk to each other because these things are important. And if that young kid would have been a little bit more informed, like you're talking about, hello, perhaps he would have made a different decision. Perhaps even now, if he had still become border patrol, maybe he'd be making some different decisions in his everyday life. We don't know the effect that thought will have on just this one person, So it transpires throughout your entire life, but it's really important. I don't know where my combo started, but anyway.
No, absolutely. All right. So the thing I wanted to double back on, because we were talking about, artistry and, pushing the boundaries of good taste and, cancel culture and whatnot. And I've come a long way in developing my identity, my artistry and whatnot, but at the same time, recognizing criticism as its own art form. And that, like how people will distinguish criticism from constructive criticism is that I feel that, while people are expressing their dissenting opinion even more, that the people that the status quo is also bunkering down, and that people and that as certain issues more issues come to the forefront, now people are having to show this other side of them and to bring back intersectionality. It's like just because somebody may be very good, just like somebody can be very bad on a handful of issues but very good on a majority of them, vice versa can also happen. So like while we may worship somebody like an entertainer for being very, they were so good on these issues and we thought they were such a good person, it's like, well, because you didn't have to know about this other element of their life and how they deal with, different people in this situation. For an example, I won't just, go and drop the celebrity names, but there's different examples that have abounded. There was one recently of an artist, an actress. She is a black woman and is known for, having strong black identity and strong feminist identity and being able to speak up for, other identity groups and shit, right? To be very good on that. But she's also been extremely wealthy for quite some time. So her class politics aren't really that great. And so it's like she kind of made a offhand comment about really just sharing a really human moment with an individual who had did some work for her. And, the implication being that the business reached out to her, they wanted to connect more, which usually means that they're trying to fire the other person. Basically what it is that apparently she got an Uber or a Lyft or whatever, and the person had to use the restroom, and I guess they had to drop a deuce or whatever. She made an offhand comment on her Twitter and whatnot, and then either Uber or Lyft, probably Uber, because they seem much more evil, were like, hey, we want to know more about this, incident and shit. Could you hit us up? Which usually means they want to, fire the person and shit. And it's just like, if you have an understanding of what, of the gig economy and Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and shit, or even like delivery drivers in general, you just understand.
You were more educated on.
Yeah. It's like, then you recognize that, okay, I understand you're just trying to maybe make a passing comment about, oh, this dude just dropped a deuce in here, but also understanding that, like, businesses and shit, the implications of this shit, is, businesses and shit have no problem of taking your humanity and using it against you. You know what I'm saying? I remember I used to serve tables, and there was a server who had been at this restaurant for a minute. He was a cool guy, whatever, and he got fired because he had got secret shops, and his offense was not charging the person for their soft drink, for their $2 soft drink. Because he took the bill to them, and the person who got served, the secret shopper, said, oh, you forgot to put the drink on there, and he was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's like, that's a human, moment of just saying, hey, I didn't put it on there, don't fucking worry about it, and that being used as an excuse to fire him.
Well, that's why, okay, personally, I hate, business and restaurants and stuff, because I can't speak for every family restaurant, but I feel like in family restaurants, the beauty about it is that they're very empathetic and they understand. It's not like a big business where they just don't give a shit about their employees, And it's like, I feel like that's probably what happens. So it's like, and again, people who've lived this affluent life, they don't understand that people, because the business has probably been good to them, but it's like, it doesn't mean that they're going to be good to anybody else, So if you bitch about something, it's like, they're gonna give a shit. In order to make you feel better, they're gonna fire this person that probably worked hard. Because I'm gonna live forever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, so sorry. Yeah, so that's kind of fucked up. Because this person probably has to take dues,
yeah, but
but
that's the thing about and I still want to stick on this issue of criticism, but to finish off that point, and the thing is that I'm wary of framing this as malicious, because I don't think that she's being malicious. It's just, this is the thing that happens with people depending on how you look at money and wealth and shit. Is that it's one thing to criticize the disproportionate wealth of certain people and access to resources. It's another thing to recognize that disproportionate amount of wealth makes you no longer have to rely on the same human interaction. And so you start to look at people completely differently. You don't have to rely on the altruism of other people and, stains on your reputation and shit, then you'll just buy your way out of in and out of, problems and shit, and, we'll use that to cover up when you are, being a piece of shit. If you have the money, right? Yeah, altruism no longer becomes like a core functioning element of the way that you live, because it's like, I have so much wealth now, or so much, my network is, so substantial that I can't be questioned, so why should I be considerate, or what, I don't even have to, it's not even me being malicious, it just doesn't come to mind, I just don't know anymore.
The simple way, I guess, to put that is because they say the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, but then the flip side, the golden rule is the one who has the gold makes the rules. That was the other golden rule.
Yeah. There are definitely 2 points that come to mind. One, I think when you are coming from a lower income perspective, or from a family who's always had to work on lower income level, etc. When you're a person of color, when you're surrounded by other people of color, when you have money issues, you grow up thinking a lot differently than people who grow up with money. Again, we're going to bring this up because it has a lot to do with how we think of problems and how we see other people. standing in different parts of the room, standing in different corners of the room, right? Being able to put yourself in other people's shoes is an ability that I think the ones like people like me who have to grow up, in like lower income neighborhoods and go through a lot of different kind of struggles, were kind of almost forced into. I was forced to look at things a little bit differently early on because I was surrounded by it. So it's like, yeah, these people have money, and it's like you want to talk like, okay, well, platform versus affluent, like being affluent, and it's like when you have a platform, in my opinion, it almost becomes like your duty. Like, I don't care if you didn't grow up like that. Like, there's almost no excuse because it's like, that's great. Like, you were blessed, or you have this life of possibility, sure, but it's like education is like there's no excuse for not having it, and it's like, and it's empathy, so it's like those are the 2 points. It's just being able to put ourselves in other people's shoes and be considerate. Yeah, those are the like that's the world. Yeah, that's the world. Okay, add on to that.
Well, like speaking as like, I feel like there's such a difference between affluence though. Is that okay? So I'm not like, I come from a family of immigrants, and they kind of like, my mom and my dad came from El Salvador, and my dad and my mom worked from the bottom, and they they worked their asses off and they made money. We lived in South Central, but we had money. Like we had money enough to fix our own house, but we lived in a shitty neighborhood. I mean, come on, South Central. But then we ended up moving over here, but we were never taught to take advantage of money. We were taught to work our asses. Because that's how I always feel as a parent. It's always the parents. Because it's like, my parents taught me, yeah, we got money, but don't think I'm gonna buy you like anything you fucking want. You gotta work for what you want, because I work for what I want, and I want you to do what I did, because like, that's just how it is. That's just how life is. Everyone has to struggle in order to get what they want. They can't just be handed like, spoon-fed shit, because it's like, you never learn like that. It's kind of like that thing where like, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but teach him how to fish and he'll feed himself. It's like, it's shit like that. So I agree with you, but to a certain extent, because a lot of my, a lot of my family too, like they come from money, but my uncle and aunt raised them so differently that they think like, for example, I'm gonna be straight up. My cousins think they're white. I'm like, your dad fucking crossed the fucking border to so many fucking borders to get your ass over to, give you a fucking better life, and you're just gonna, like, think that you're better just because they give you all this shit, and then you're gonna think that you don't have to do anything. Like, that's ridiculous, But then again, my uncle always babies them. So it's like, it's the parents. Like, honestly, like, you can say everything, but it's always like, whoever raised you is like, you're the reflection, Yeah. Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, no, well, what you had just mentioned, like how you characterize the way that they think is, they think of themselves as white, whether or not they're white passing, is that, these days it's like there's the white, what you're referring to more so is like the white aesthetic, that they see themselves falling into this framework of where when it's to my benefit to get by, the privilege of identifying as white, and then like when I'm in other circles, and they'll say, oh, I'm from El Salvador and shit,
My cousins are super racist. Like, they don't like immigrants, and I'm like, your daddy was an immigrant, bro. Like, and you're gonna
Internalized.
Exactly. And a lot of, oh my god, I watch like Spanish, like Telemundo and all this shit, and you always have this like dumbass people who are like, oh yeah, like in Spanish too, like, oh yeah, it's colorism, exactly. Like they won't have this colorism, but it's like people who are immigrants are just like, they should stay with it. It's like, bitch, you came here not that long ago. We're all immigrants.
Like pulling up the ladder behind them.
Exactly.
Or like I got mine.
Exactly. Just because you're here doesn't mean that they're not allowed to be here too. Just because you had connections and got your fucking papers doesn't mean that they're not allowed to be here too. It's ridiculous. And there's also colorism too. It's crazy. Oh my god, we always talk about this, right? That there's always colorism in every fucking culture. It's always it's so ridiculous. Like even Hispanics, they always have like the lighter skin people always like talk shit about darker skin people, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we're all in the same fucking struggle, and you're just gonna be like salty as fuck against people who are struggling as you,
I beg to differ. I
Really?
think we're all in the same struggle.
What I mean is like being like hated by another group that's trying to make us fight against each other.
Yeah,
but they don't see that. I hear what you're saying. That's not the reality they live. They have a fundamentally different, what right and wrong is.
Yeah, because I think like I benefit from white privilege. My skin is light, and I think understanding how that plays a part in society is step one, right? Because we can be so quick to be like, oh, well, we all have problems. Like, well, we all, we all have to confront the police. But yeah, we do, but not in the same fucking way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I think that is the number one thing again that we need to address is like, no, we need to talk about this, and it needs to be talked about like point period, like what it is. You know what I mean? Because it's like culturally too. Like we talk about like people that we idolize and like that we romanticize and sort of like glorify. And whoa, I can't believe like this conversation just went all the way back to that same point. But yeah, and I'm glad it did because now we're touching on it from a different perspective, which is color. Okay, let's talk about Black culture. Let's talk about how it's such a main point in the media, and it's like people want to be Black, but they don't want to be Black. And like nobody talks about this stuff, and it's like I kind of talk about it. I'm not a person of color, but I think it's giving people the space to talk about it and making sure that it's available.
And backing them up. Like us light-skinned Latinos, we gotta back up our darker-skinned brothers and sisters. They replaced a Filipino with an Argentinian. Can we talk about it?
And there's even more added to that. I've got two other really fun examples for you.
And I bet there's tons of examples.
Yeah.
Different movies, different
Exactly.
things.
So, like, I'm wondering if this is also a thing with your celebrities, too, is that in the Philippines, the lighter-skinned Filipinos are more prominent in our media and in our entertainment industry compared with the dark skin. And then the other thing you were talking about, like, wanting to be Black but not wanting to be Black, in color. So, Filipinos in the United States are, they're cool with being tanned and they're more into hip-hop. Filipinos in Philippines want to be more Chinese and more Korean. So they wear the visors over the face when they drive. They skin. They go to the beach. They cover up. So and it's the irony because like you go back to the country, it's like no, we want to be Chinese. You go over there, no, we want to be Black. And then the music, we listen is different over there. So it's like I'm wondering if that also kind of goes on with you guys. Different atmosphere.
And going back to like the immigrant thing, I think, and I always talk to people about this, it's like, we have such an obligation as first generation children, I think, to educate our elders, our parents, our grandparents even. Because, hello, like, this shit needs to stop, and people need to stop talking a certain way. And so, I think that's a good point too, it's like, we need to educate ourselves so that we can educate, our parents. They didn't have the luxury that we have here in the U.S. to explore our passions and do some things that we love to do. It's that scarcity mindset, It's like they had to come here and like put in the work just to survive, So they offered us that gift, right, of just being able to have the space to breathe and find ourselves, go to school or not. Kind of do whatever it is that we want to do, really. And so it's like our duty to pass on all this knowledge that we're gaining. And a good thing, right? Because I'm not saying that everyone in our generation, like, understands different cultural things and, like, ideologies, but when you do and when you hear it coming from your family, it is your duty to speak up about it and be like, girl, we're not going to talk like that. Like, that's old news. Like, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but that's not how it is. And, you have to kind of educate them. And I've had to do it in my family, and it's such a beautiful exchange, when you, like,
you don't have to go that much out of your way to, you don't have to read, like, you don't have to talk to strangers because most of the time it's really just your mom and dad, or your mom and dad. And like we mentioned earlier, and when you're talking about, Ren, when you're talking earlier about working with people with differences of opinions, like Republicans are people that aren't strangers to you. They could be your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, and it's like, oh, kill all Republicans. Wait a minute, you've been living with one for half your life.
or just somebody who has, you know, certain views that are especially conservative or right wing, and it's like, okay, are you going to completely throw this person away because of
You're related to them. Your sister's married to them.
Well, I don't want to valorize that point so much because we can ignore anybody in our family, in our circles that we want to. But it's all about what I'm trying to get to more so is, yeah, there's a threshold on what you can accept. Like, I'm not going to, you know, be showing anybody that I know is an outright fucking Nazi or fascist or something. But it's like, if it's just somebody who every once in a while they make, so like with humor, jokes, and stand-up and shit, right? So it's like, I haven't done stand-up in a minute, but I still keep up with it. And so, you know, stand-up right now is a space where there's a lot of, you know, talk where, like, not only is it the most pervasive and big as it's ever been, it's so readily available, but then also so many more people are trying to do stand-up, and so many other groups and identities are starting to, like, get in the conversation. And so, like, I remember earlier in there, we were talking more so on the side of, like, oh, well, as an artist, I'm going to be able to say whatever I want and pushing those boundaries and stuff. And then we come later into this other element of talking about, well, there still has to be a line because there are certain things that are, you know, because like everything, you know, it does change. And so to talk about like what I was saying earlier, I wanted to double back to criticism and whatnot, and how criticism is just as much of an art as like music or literature and shit, is Ricky Gervais recently was the host at the Golden Globes, right? Now, for those that don't know, Ricky Gervais is an English comedian. He's been around quite a minute. He's responsible for The Office. He's a well-known, UK, excuse me. He's also a New Age atheist. He's a New Age atheist who speaks very, you know, a lot about that as well. And his stand-up, you know, is known to be quote-unquote edgy and critical of, it used to be critical of the status quo. Now he's kind of taken in the last few years, he seems to be taking a reactionary turn or expressing reactionary ideas. Because at the Golden Globes, he repeated something that is a common trope among conservatives, young and old, which is celebrities, nobody cares what you have to say, shut the fuck up. You know, I mean, that was basically the ethos of his hosting and shit. And of course the right wing all of a sudden is loving him, just like they loved Dave Chappelle when he started talking about the trans issues in a way that trans people didn't really like. And it's like, the way I fall on this issue is that it's clear to me that once again, like I said, just because somebody can be very good on these issues, they can still be terrible on these other ones. And, you know, it's all about what the climate is and what they happen to be feeding into. So like with somebody like Dave Chappelle, he's somebody who has a very nuanced, clear understanding of the black experience. But when he starts talking about women or LGBT folks and shit, it's like his way of understanding it is strictly from the status quo, and he doesn't really offer legitimacy to their experiences or talking about it from their perspective. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about like, oh, why are you getting on me? It's just a joke. It's just funny. Why are people criticizing me? It's like, well, first of all, if you're not gonna fucking want to be criticized, stop being such a fucking pussy and shut the hell up and go live in a hole. Because like, your freedom of speech, everybody has a fucking, you know, right to speak. And that's not because of what's written in the Constitution or because I earned the right to. It's because I have a voice, that is my right to speak. I can think, that is my right to do so. You know what I'm saying? Right there. And so, the thing about talking about people and making jokes or comments about people of a group that you don't belong to or that you don't identify with is that it's showing that your mindset is incorporating the arguments that they would make. Or that when you talk, you know what I'm saying, at some point, you're repeating something that was told to you by that person. And when you listen to somebody, when I hear some of these comedians, whom are quote unquote getting canceled, like Louis C.K. or Dave Chappelle or Ricky Gervais and shit, and it's like, well, they come back and they make more money than they've ever made before. You know what I'm saying? They get more opportunities before, and it's because they're catering to the status quo, because the status quo is already there to dismiss these perspectives. And so when it comes down to like, cancel culture and criticism and shit, first of all, cancel culture isn't real, unfortunately. Or cancel culture is real, but the people who get canceled are not the ones that we usually think.
I honestly don't. I don't know what cancel culture is.
Cancel culture is basically, it's just a new term. It's really just a derogatory term for something that's been around forever, which is setting your sights, saying that, this person violate some norms or whatever, and we're going to, isolate them or
Like boycott them? Like
yeah, boycott them or try to get them fired, blacklist them and shit. Except it's just like done publicly.
social media.
Through social media and shit. The problem is,
That's mostly like, I don't know, whoever I'm gonna send them with, like, it's mostly like the sheep, the ones that are like, like you said, like they're idolizing this person, and it's like, they don't do what was like, I don't like what they said, so I'm just gonna stop. It's like, yeah, that happens. Like even with businesses, if you don't like a business, you have the right to not go to that business. But the whole cancel culture is kind of it just sounds to me like if you don't like what I have to say, you don't gotta follow me.
But here's a huge caveat, here's the huge caveat. Y'all were just talking about colorism and the priority of fair-skinned people, white, the dominance of the white beauty standards and white ethnicity and shit. Well, the thing is, what does white society tell us when we say we want more representation of people of color, or we want more representation of Muslims? Why don't you go make your own platform? Why do we have to invite you in here? Why are you trying to force diversity on us? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to talk about cancel culture, is that, like I said, it's just a derogatory term, a modern term for something that's been around forever. When the Catholic Church didn't like the findings of scientists and researchers and shit, they canceled them. When governments find out about dissident movements and shit that want to overthrow them and shit, they cancel them. When conservatives and shit, people talk about like, conservatives can't even go on campuses and shit. Most people who get censored and get their rights violated and shit are people who identify as left-wing or liberal and shit. They're getting canceled. This whole, talking about cancel culture and shit is actually a reactionary, like a right-wing reaction to people like the LGBT community speaking up more, the black community speaking up more, women speaking up more, and shit like that, or femme-identifying people and shit like that. And so that's why when I talk about the gray and shit, it's not just as simple as, this isn't a case of just simple hero worship or just simple, people just being outraged. It's like, no, you claiming that you're doing humor when you're just undermining an experience. Like there's a popular joke, a right-wing joke about the transgender community where they say, you were born as a man and you identify as a woman? Well, I identify as an attack helicopter. And it's like, exactly. The thing is, they laugh at it and it's like, I can't convince them that it's not funny, but the thing is, just like with satire earlier with Starship Troopers, it reveals something about you.
Yeah.
That's the deeper thing about humor and comedy, is that it's not a joke, it's not just a joke. When you laugh at a joke and all of it is just somebody repeating a slur or a stereotype about a group of people and shit, what you're finding humor in is the existence. What you're finding humor in is the existence of this person and looking at them in this framework. You're laughing because it's reinforcing your framework. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't help but to want to be the devil's advocate again and be like,
we stop it.
and be like, okay, well, let's say I'm a comedian, right? I'm super famous, but it's like I have these networks and these guidelines that I have to adhere to and answer to. So it's like you can say something, but you can't really say it. It's just like I don't know. So I'm like, maybe
you can say whatever you want, but there are consequences, and that's what people are saying. That's what they're complaining about.
Yeah, and I agree that they shouldn't complain about the criticism. I completely agree.
No, they should complain. That's not my argument. I'm saying basically my side is everybody should be speaking up for themselves. But the problem is that the status quo is. And this is the problem with the whole both sides have a point or both sides are equal and shit. It's like, no, not all sides have equal value. The status quo has an advantage over the marginalized one. So you can't so it's like, I want everybody to voice their opinion and voice their criticisms and shit. But a lot of people conflate them as being like, you're just complaining because you're this. And it's like, no, there's a different weight here. And that's what I'm trying to allude to, is that you'll have comedians, once again, who are able to talk very good about something related to their identity and their experiences and shit. But when they talk about somebody else, they just reinforce the status quo about them, and then then they get pushback. And I feel like people should defend themselves, be able to defend themselves and shit. But it's recognizing that people are a lot of them basically just saying, we don't want to deal with consequences of speech. We want the material benefit of making money from this. We want the benefit of being famous. We want the benefit of building up this network and this protection, but we don't want to listen to criticism and have to change the discomfort of having to incorporate different opinions and accept that we're wrong and shit. that's what's happening. But the thing is that it's not equal. They're not, the playing field isn't equal. But when people go out and say, oh, both sides have a point, or this, of course this side's going to complain. It's like, no, dig a little deeper into where the complaint is coming from. You know, and it's like, it's not, because like anybody can say whatever they want, but you may have to deal with consequences. And, you know, part of, so a lot of these comedians and shit, well, actually, go ahead and finish your point, I'll go back.
Yeah, my only point was that I can't help but think that perhaps, some of these comments and some of these jokes are almost made to like, did you see what you just laughed at? Like, we're so stupid. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying this, but I don't really mean it. It's like, oh, this is racist, you're laughing, you're dumb. You know what I mean? Like, but they don't say that. It's almost like,
Trapped comedy.
it's almost like, yeah, like growing up, so I can, like, you know, like when the roof grows, like above, like, flowers, and it's like, you can see it now, and it's, like, visible, so it's
True
like,
colors.
yeah, you know what I mean, and it's just like, I can't help but to think that, I'm not saying all of the comedians or all of, like, the people that create this type of art, but it's like, perhaps, you know, there are some with that intention, you know, where it's like you're not luring them, but almost making them think that you're one of them, but it's like, oh, like.
Didn't it happen, again, just to bring back, I know.
I love digital, I'm just saying, I love digital, because, like, of course, I don't know, because to me, like I said, like, different people see the jokes differently, like, to me, like she said, when he says it, kind of like when he was doing the Chappelle show, he didn't like that because he didn't want to keep doing black jokes. Because they were making money off of that. He's like, no, I'm more than black jokes, you know? He's like, I'm more than that, you know? That's why he stopped doing it, and that's why he left, from what I read.
Specifically, it was because he said that he didn't like the fact that he wasn't sure about the reaction of non-black audiences to the black jokes. He's like, wait, are you laughing because you find the humor in the humanity of what I'm talking about, or are you laughing because of because I'm making a spectacle of the performative, if I'm doing a performative element of the black experience for your entertainment.
But do you get it, or are you just laughing at like a black
Just
person?
laugh at it.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like his new special, he talks about trans, like I have trans family, I have nothing against it, but like she said, like they bring things up just to like basically bring out all the assholes. You get me? Like it's kind of like weeding out the assholes. It's like, yeah, that's why I like telling people, you can talk shit about me all you want, because then I know that I'm not gonna fuck with you. You know? Like I don't agree with your shit, so I know now I'm not gonna fuck with you. You know? Like not in a sense that I'm not gonna respect you, but I now know that how to, you know, like be around you, you know, like, and I don't know, just the things he said, I feel like he said it like that, it's like, oh, look what you're laughing at, you know, you're laughing at stereotypes, and it's like, cause, I don't know, that's the way I see it though, cause like, I love comedy, and I love seeing like, the other meaning behind it, not just someone being an asshole, you know?
Well, here's the caveat, so here's the thing about that, is that, once again, like let's use a different artist or medium or something. Or actually, let's talk about it more generally. The thing I've come to the conclusion with is, it's once again, when you talk about another group or something that you don't identify with, are your comments, are they well, the thing is like your comments, your observations, are they just something that reinforces what's already been established or what's thought about this particular group, or is it something that's incorporating new thoughts and different ways of thinking about it? And the thing you'll notice about a lot of these people who will complain about criticism is that they're just feeding into the status quo. They're not actually trying to make the group in question seem more human. They're just using them as a spectacle. And so I think that there's a lot of people who make the criticism who aren't being so, they're not being as clear and concise with it. I think a lot of times, you know, because people are so viscerally attached to stuff, and because a lot of times people's lives are dependent, because a lot of people's lives are affected by this shit, that, you know, you go into you're just hateful, you're just bigoted and stuff, which is like, that may or may not be true, and that's not the best reaction. Now, when you get to deal with somebody like me, I'm a bit more surgical. And so I'm gonna try to like unearth and be like, okay, understand really where your frame of thought is coming from. And so it's like, you know, when I talk to other black people and stuff about like LGBT stuff or being a non-believer and shit, it's like there's a lot of pushback towards those things, and I just, I try to explain to them, like, don't you just realize that you are just being into the status quo? It's like you put so much of your identity into the black part and making that, individualizing that, but then for everything else, it's just going along with the status quo. And so it's like, when I hear, like, listening to these new artist specials and new films and stuff, or even Stephen King, this had a mild controversy because he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said that I would never, I don't care about diversity or something related to diversity and being just kind of flippant and dismissive about it. And the thing is that, like, people will talk about, forced diversity and shit like that, but they don't want to bring up the comment. And then when you bring up the fact that, like, oh, why is this group prioritized and given all the access and shit? Well, then they'll say that's not a demand. Oh, wait a minute, but the original complaint is about people demanding inclusion in this space. It's like, so it's a circular argument. You're not really trying to get to the point that you just don't see the problem. That you're ignoring, because you don't want to.
You're not answering the question.
You're not answering the question. You're not answering the question because the actual answer is the existence of this other group of people who's looking for inclusion is what you find problematic. You know what I'm saying? And so to like taper off this whole thing about like criticism and art and shit like that, and like the limitations of being yourself, is that you should constantly be trying to, because starting at a fundamental understanding that you have one tiny sliver of the human experience and shit that you could possibly go through and stuff, that in and of itself should be like, fuck, like, before I speak of these other things or get so high and mighty about my own opinion and understanding of shit, listen to feedback and listen to other people and shit.
Give people their space.
Give people hands, pass the mic.
No, I agree 1,000%, and I think that's right. Like, we can get so caught up because we read something or we learned this about this. So you're right, especially again talking about people who have like these huge platforms. But even in smaller groups, I think it's important to to just respect each other's space, and recognize and have that self-awareness in ourselves to be like, you know what, I actually don't know enough about this subject. I feel a certain way about it, but, does any, do you have anything else to say? He's right, pass the mic. Know when it's your turn to speak on your own stuff and when it's not. And just because someone's quiet doesn't mean they don't want to talk. So it's like,
quiet, but too much quiet.
I'm usually like way louder though, but I'll give you guys more, right? I feel documented.
Yeah, as long as you're just respecting each other and I feel like it's so ridiculous that we're not. Some of us are. It's so beautiful that we're all from different cultures and we're here all talking about it. But some places it's like remember we were talking with Jack that people that live in small towns, especially if they live in the mountains or if they live somewhere secluded, they don't know anything else but that. Unless you have the people that go online and they they're I'm gonna escape this murder, I'm gonna escape this damn town because they're not progressive as that's why everybody comes to California, everybody goes to New York, Miami, everywhere. It's just I don't know, just respect each other, and but people, that's all they know from their little, from the place that they work, is they haven't expanded their intelligence, is not even in school, it's more their conditioning and their experiences with other people and other cultures.
Yeah.
You
have no other frame of reference. It's like somebody talking to you about swimming and shit, but you've never been near a body of water, you've never seen any creatures that participate in swimming, so it's it's not even you being malicious or wanting to ignore it, it's just I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
It's sorry, I have an example, with the whole family stuff too, my grandma, we lived in South Central, she's from El Salvador, she was pretty old when she came over, but I remember I used to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I used to watch a lot of shows with predominantly black, actors and stuff, and she would always be like, oh, why are you watching that, and blah, blah, and I would tell her oh, I'm gonna marry, this is pissing her off, and I'm like, what? And then as I got older, I started teaching her more, Grandma, why are you like that? But it's she's only been in a certain place and been treated bad by a certain group of people, and it's like, that's all she fucking knows. And she comes from El Salvador. There's not a lot of black people from El Salvador. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like that thing, nature versus nurture, and also like your environment and everything, and what you know, and like the education, again, the stuff you've read, the things that you've learned from outside sources, and also stuff that you've taught yourself. It's like, it's really great. Yeah, that's why I don't like judging a lot of people, especially people who are like hateful and stuff. I'm just like, who hurt you, bro? Like, where are you from, or like, what happened to you in order to like, you know, make you this way? You know?
It's kind of, because you're like, and the thing is, like, don't forget that you are playing in a different field than they are. That that even though you know that you're diametrically opposed in perspective and whose opinion should be relevant in the culture and in political power, that they don't share the same view. They still don't want you to exist. They've just taken that hatred and found a way, or excuse me, they've taken those negative experiences, which may be very real. Like when people tell me that, like, hey, like, you know, I know this may sound weird to you, but like, I never met a black person who, you know, acts like you or talks like you and shit. And it was like, there was a time in my life when I was younger when I would get like real offended and be like, you know, I didn't realize, and I'm like, okay, they don't know you as an individual. All we see is what we see, and it's like, it's most of it's like, we all live in the conviction of our experiences. And so while you may know this one thing, like I read these studies, or I see these videos, or I hear these things, it's like, your day-to-day experience is what defines how you feel and how you identify and shit. And so it's like, you still have this strange empathy for people whom you share diametrically opposed views, but you're just like, okay, I can still at least understand how they got, you know what I'm saying, down this path. You had mentioned about how a lot of people who are progressive or whatnot, or want to live in the city, but they come from small towns and they make that move. I did the opposite, in a way. I didn't live in a big city, but I was born and raised in different parts of the LA area, from Inglewood to Pomona and whatnot, and I lived in Chino for a little bit. When I moved, I was living in Chino and going to school, working in Pomona and whatnot. So that's all I've known, right? And I moved to North Carolina, and I had a great time in there. But the real point of it is that there was a good portion of people who I met that not only were they not from North Carolina, they weren't even from the South. And there was actually a hefty population of people from outside the country. What I'm alluding to is that there's a huge trend. So the opposite trend is also happening, because as cities and shit are getting more expensive to live in, the people who've grown up there and have kind of been disillusioned with it are leaving, going to small towns and shit. And one of the consequences of that politically is that some of these states that have been a long time more red or purple are starting to go even more purple or blue and shit. And as a matter of fact, North Carolina is one of those states. And that was actually kind of an interesting tidbit that I found out not too long ago. It was just kind of random.
No, this is an on topic, because I was thinking about how earlier you mentioned about the Matrix and what we how do we know what is, you know, what our reality, how do we know if this reality is our reality? How do we know if everything around us is true or false? And so it's a little bit out there, but go with me if you will. So basically, there's been a theory out that 300 or 400 years of our history never happened.
Which one?
So it's about from the beginning of the Roman Empire all the way up until Charlemagne. So basically, up until the Charles I, Charlemagne. So the idea with that is basically, but the thing is that this also touches on European exceptionalism too, that this is based on, because you talk about who you think of when you're being told information, you have to remember where that source is coming from. So the person who actually came up with this theory is a strong Russian nationalist, but at the same time, he's also a mathematician and a Scientologist. I mean, not Scientologist, scientist. That's the point you put. You got me, Brandon.
I was like, I think he lost all legitimacy right there. Not gonna lie.
He's a scientist and a Russian mathematician, but a strong Russian nationalist.
Yeah.
But the theory is that basically this German emperor was looking for an ancestor to give him more legitimacy, and that's what he based his theory on. So Otto I came up with the theory that Charlemagne, he just made Charlemagne up. But the thing that discredits this theory is the fact that he doesn't take once again this European exceptionalism, and also at its root you could even say white exceptionalism to an extent because it's European descent. So he's not taking into account everything going on in the Middle East and in China and all their record keeping.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's only going by what he has learned in
well, it's very Eurocentric.
Yeah, Eurocentric. It's all based off because the European records and the carbon dating on the buildings isn't really accurate. But if you go by the calendars in China and the record keeping in China and the record keeping in the Middle East, all that time period from the Roman Empire up until Charlemagne, that's the time of Muhammad.
Oh yeah.
And all that is they have documentation for all of that. So some people could say, so back to the Matrix, like some people could say, oh, this never happened. You have to always take into account how the entire world views if that ever happened, because they have different ways of keeping records. They, what you said about the human experience, or what you said about not having everybody's point of, you won't get everybody's. You will never experience every single point of view. You can only hear the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
So that also connects into that, because you're not going to know for sure, because the reality is you always have to look for evidence everywhere. You have to look for evidence everywhere.
It's so important. You need to look through all that evidence in order to actually figure out did this person make this up, or is this I hate bringing it up because a lot of people, like the Bible, we don't know exactly if all of that is
part of it.
Because it's someone wrote this, someone right now, I don't know who I was talking, I think both of you, I was imagine in the future, they started telling a different lie about what happened at this time, and then they're just gonna take it as, take that.
That's actually part of
history,
That's part of Anatoly Fomenko's theory, is that actually Jesus is an amalgamation of 4 different Byzantine emperors and a Chinese guy. Yeah.
But your point just totally reminds me again of Orwell's 1984. He works for the Ministry of Truth, for those who haven't read the book. And so basically their entire job is they're the newspaper, or there's a publication section, the media. And so it's today we have decided as the government that this no longer happens. And then it is eradicated completely from every publication, everything on earth. So it's it literally makes you question, am I going insane? That really did happen.
What year did 1984 come out?
I want to say 1954. No, it was before, because it's about, probably after, because it's about.
We don't have the internet here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have phones. It's because we're at that.
Yeah, we're in it.
But anyway, just on the last, and it's for him to touch on the topic that early on was just
well,
this is about 1948, something in Britain, in England.
Oh, June. It was published June 1949.
1949.
It was after.
So this is before Pol Pot in Cambodia, because you're talking about him deciding this never happened. We're going to rewrite history. Pol Pot created Year Zero, and it's okay, Year Zero is going to start now, and this is when our history starts, and we're only going to be self-sufficient in this country only. We're not going to rely on resources from anyone else. And then as a result, nearly millions of people died in less than a few months because they didn't have enough food to feed all of them, and then a lot of people ate mud.
Yeah, and they were taking people who were not farmers or had any work with agriculture, professors or people who worked, construction, so like that, and saying, okay, now you work the land.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you expecting?
It's like you're just gonna teach me, like, you're just like, that's not my Fascism.
And that goes back to the satire thing, though, what you guys are saying with people taking satire as advice. Like, I don't know if we know.
No, it wasn't taking
No, because I was talking about Pol Pot. If Pol Pot read 1984 and possibly as a guidebook on how to run a country, that's why I was asking on what date it was written. Because it was Pol Pot was 1984.
Yeah, we're talking about George Orwell.
Yeah, it's, what's his name? From, Animal Farm, who wrote it?
George Orwell. Yeah, he wrote it as well. Yeah. The thing is, once again, to not forget about 1984 is that, like, yeah, while the government did do stuff, is that ultimately, the citizens had to. What happened was there was an anti-intellectualism. It was skepticism in overdrive, basically. Basically, what happened was that, for one reason or another, or basically what it is that, like, because of all the competing sources for information that people had, everybody just got frustrated and say, fuck it. They were starting over, so they went and burned the shit. And then the thing is that, like, that's what's so funny. You gave your power away because the government was kind of like, oh shit, they're doing what we, only dreamed, this whole time. And now we can come in and start feeding them. They gave us the power and shit. And so to go into that about how skepticism and anti-intellectualism and just criticism goes too far is to talk. Is to talk about what I see as there are different movements that are doing this and different motivations for it. But like what I'm trying to allude to is the motivation of over skepticism in the sciences, and one of them is in the fat body acceptance movement. So it's like, so of course, it's like, nobody should be getting made fun of, or bullied, saying for their body types or something. You're not a bad person if you don't have the best diet or exercise routine, or if your look and aesthetic doesn't cater to the gaze of a particular group. Saying, fuck all that noise. But then also, it's like, once again, when I, follow on social media or keeping up with certain activist movements and shit, and seeing that there are some people with quite a few followers who are just saying things that are just completely anti-scientific. Like, I saw a person who wrote that, a prominent activist online, on Twitter at least, it seems, who wrote that no study can show that diet and exercise helps to make a person healthier or lose weight, keep weight off. And I was just like, and I was just like, I had to read it over a few times because I was like, what kind of dystopian shit is this? I was just thinking about in my life, or just thinking about, basic fundamental things. Like, nobody's saying that, like, exercise will cure all forms of disease, but, like, still having a certain level of activity and watching what you eat can have, benefits on your body and shit. But there are some people who are so caught up, it's the identity politics, making this facet of themselves so critical to their identity, and then also the skepticism towards an institution where, like, all of our institutions basically are in question now. Everything's in flux, from politics to science to the arts and shit to, our neighbors and shit. The math, basically because of the internet, social media and shit. Everybody has an opinion, a voice, but also we all live in glass houses, and it's more clear than ever before, and the mask is off. People can't hide behind their bullshit.
As the chunky person right now,
Yeah.
I would like to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm chunky and but I take care of myself. Yes, there are days that it's like you work and it's like I can't fucking cook all the time at home and there's not. Yeah, exactly. But like we said, like people like that's an extreme to me because I only follow like body positive people who tell you, hey, don't listen to what these idiots say. Just focus on yourself and your health. That's that's body positivity.
No, absolutely.
But to tell someone that's like, it's okay to eat your feelings, no, bro, it's not. Because it's like, it's all about, I don't know, people don't understand that like, you don't understand unless you're chunky or you've been chunky, it's like, it is true, it's all in mental health. Because we see, like, for me, when I was younger, for me, food, it was like a comfort, and now it's like, now that you're older, it's like, no, I don't need that shit, and also, because the comfort the food that would bring me comfort is because people would talk shit to me, people I've always been a chunky child, I've always been made fun of, and I would use that as, an excuse to, fuck myself, nobody understands this, when overfeeding yourself, bulimia, is a form of suicide. It is, because you're trying
Morbid
to kill
obesity.
morbid obesity. You're trying to kill yourself slowly, you know, and nobody understands that. Because it's like, you think of it as like, oh, why can't they just stop it? It's like, no, because you keep telling them that they're disgusting and they're ugly, and they think that about themselves, you know? Like, there's so many times that I've been in depression where I was like, yeah, I'm not worthy. What's the point? I'm gonna just keep eating until I die. What's the point? And nobody understands that it's even, and also with another person who has like a different disability, because obesity is a disability. Well, to some people, you know, because like
Yeah, it can be.
yeah, like, because if you're taking care of yourself, you know, like you're in that stage of like, not stage, but in that journey of like getting to where you want to be personally, not where somebody else wants you to be. You know, it's personally like your health, because nobody knows your fucking health. Everybody's different. My cousin's uncle, I don't know what the fuck he is, but he's family, you know, Latinos, we're all family. He's the skinniest person. He's skinny, and he would run all the time, and he got diabetes. Okay? I'm chunky. I'm chunky as hell. I'm not saying I'm like the most healthiest, but thank goodness, because I take care of myself. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. None of that shit, you know? But it's like, nobody understands that it's more of it's a mental health thing. Like, and then these people that are like, you know, do your thing. I don't give a shit about what you do, because, you know, I'm a grown-up fucking adult and I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm not gonna listen to what you say. Yeah, just because this person says like, oh, scientist is like, no, you're a dumbass. Like, I'm gonna do, because, but again, like you said, like a lot of people they deify these people, and they're just like, you're right, but you're destroying your followers. You're making them seem that like, that this is okay. I mean, it's okay to love yourself to a certain extent, but love is not like hurting yourself.
Yeah, love is that self-acceptance. Self-acceptance shouldn't just be about confirmation.
Exactly.
and about encouraging your indulgence for what you already do. Because the thing is, it's a way for you to act as if you're self-reflecting, but you're just reaffirming the status quo of what you were doing before. You're basically finding a way to tell yourself, to justify to yourself to keep doing what you were doing before, and just lean into it and ignore criticism, because any level of criticism is just bigotry, which is just not the case. Because there was another Twitter, and once again, these are just Twitter as far as I know. I don't really know how prominent they are, but it's like, it's one of those things where like you see the number of likes and shares and comments of people supporting it, and you're just like, okay, I have to be working with somebody who thinks this or has seen this, or I have to have encountered somebody who, you know, has this idea and shit. Like, it's not like this shit just exists just online. This does reflect real people. But this other Twitterer said that they were basically criticizing people who talk about how they've improved their life through diet and exercise, and saying that like, oh, you're claiming that you feel so much better about yourself. No, you feel better that people aren't making fun of you. You're in denial and shit. I was like, how are you just gonna reduce somebody else's autonomy? You know what I'm saying, like that. Like, just reducing the work that they did and the being critical of themselves and shit, and just saying that like, you're just projecting your own shit, you know, onto them, and your own self-hate and shit.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all good.
It's kind of like when people like, oh man, I always find this ridiculous. It's like when people make fun of fat people working out in the gym. It's like they're working their asses off. Like, what the fuck do you want them to do? You want them to work out or be fat? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you gonna give honestly, like, I always think that like we're all fucking hypocrites. That's why I don't listen to what people like. If you talk shit about my family and shit, I'll fuck you up. Yeah. But if you talk shit about me, I don't give a shit about your opinion. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh, you're another fucking person? It's just so stupid. But like I said, like, there's just people who are at the extreme of that. You know?
Of course, yeah.
It's like there's always someone who's gonna be at the extreme of that. And like, you know, do whatever you want. You know, I'm not your mama. You know, do whatever the fuck you want, but just know what the fuck you're doing and who you're influencing. You know?
Oh, one thing before I go to Matt real quick. The tie-in to that stuff of identity politics, and then also the heavy skepticism, is that how it's also the basis of a lot of other movements like the anti-vaxxer movement, flat earthers, because these are not people, this doesn't just come from being ignorant or, you know, lacking curiosity and shit. It's that it's based on a completely different set of reasoning, you know what I'm saying, than like logic and science and shit like that. It's about, no, these institutions or these groups of people are known to lie of us, or we've discovered that they've been lying or fabricating this thing. So it's like, oh, that means throw everything out. It's a very reductionist or very like narrow way of looking at stuff. Like similar to like the whole both sides are equal and shit. It's like no, both sides aren't equal, and it's like just because somebody is wrong about these 2 or 3 things, that doesn't mean the hundreds of thousands of other things of years of science and articles and shit is also up for debate. It's like each case is different, but it's like some people don't know how to make that distinction and be able to say, okay, this is a couple of bad negative experiences. It doesn't change the trend. And the thing is that this is different than just like personal life and shit, because science is something that outlives, information and shit is something that outlives people.
Yeah.
So, real data.
It's data, exactly. Data.
And here's real data actually backing up, because you're talking about eating your feelings, and they're actually, because are you guys all aware of sumo wrestlers?
Oh yeah.
No, of course.
Some people don't even know. There are people who don't even know they exist. So sumo wrestlers are the one particular, well, I won't say the one, but the people who eat the way they do, a lot of, like, massive amounts of food, but the food that they eat isn't processed, and it's this Japanese food, chanko nabe, and it uses, organic materials. They boil the salad, but it's in large amounts. Chanko. Chanko nabe, and they eat a lot of that, and they're not unhealthy, and they are big stomachs. And the thing is, they don't have the heart problems or the diabetes or any of the diseases.
Because they're athletes.
Yeah, because they compete every day to train. It's not until they stop. Yeah, it's not until they stop training that they start to get the negative health effects. And they start, they just sit around all day, watch TV, whatever. Like, you could train in your 90s. There are people who dance in their 100-year-old, 90-year-old dancing and working out and everything like that. So there's, so it's live. That's a big part of it. Yeah, you could definitely eat a lot. You could definitely have a big stomach and be healthy. Yeah, it's really in your activity. It's in, I try to keep the movement part of it, and that's why like the sumo. That's always something to keep for everybody who talks about like body positivity and the whole eating, like you should eat as much as you want versus you should always count every single calorie. And the sumo wrestler thing is always should be there to keep into your head.
Yeah, you're right, because like I have friends, like we have friends who are fitness trainers and stuff. Like my friend, he is buff as hell. Like he's like, I eat as much as I want, but I eat healthy shit. Like he eats like, have you guys heard of bootable? They're like, you have chickpeas and like healthy stuff. You can eat a whole fucking bowl, feel satisfied, like work out, and you'll feel amazing. Like it just depends on what you eat.
Yeah, it depends on what the food is.
And I was gonna bring my other point that like the problem also is that all the shit that's readily available is shit.
Yeah.
Like fast food. Like we're talking about this. Like I work graveyard, and like people who work graveyard, they don't have that much like variety of where the stuff is.
I'll see you at Winco.
I go to Winco.
But even Wincos are not that common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because they're worker owned and shit.
Yeah, they're employee owned. It's cool though, it's cool. But it's sad that there's not, like, there's one in Pomona.
A lot of
all the way to fucking Fontana.
Long Beach.
Yeah.
A lot of food, and then that, of course, and then the issue of, along with that is food, food deserts.
Yeah.
It's that, not everybody has a car. Some people got to take the bus or get an Uber and shit, to go get groceries. Like, I didn't realize how grateful, like, when I was living in North Carolina, I would have, I had the benefit of being able to walk more and shit. But then I was thinking about when I moved back to Cali, I was like, damn, if I didn't have a fucking car, my family didn't bless me with a car and shit, I'd be like, I'd have to be spending, money, $10, $15, $20 just to go buy groceries and shit. And then I'm starting to see more and more grocery stores and shit that are getting shut down and stuff. It's like, and the thing is that this isn't even like the housing crisis, where I know that the reason why so many places that are empty are because foreign investors.
Oh my god. Sorry, she mentioned gold investment.
It's fine.
I thought you saw a rat or a spider.
No!
Oh, okay. I'll show you. You guys know where the line is?
No!
Riding on the wall.
Yeah, I'm looking for more of the real thing. It's either a rat or a tarantula.
Yeah, right now.
No, I love tarantulas.
Yeah.
Tarantulas, but no ghosts. You don't fuck with no ghosts.
I mean, but
it's
That's racist.
You're getting canceled. The Nickelodeon show, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
What's hilarious is that was based off of, well, there was a game that was made, but it was far scarier, darker than the well, maybe it wasn't even related. Well, no, it was books. It was based off of books. It was books, and then it was the show, and then there was a game. But the thing is, I don't actually know if the game was part of the same lore or if it happened to have the same name.
Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah. I read a few Goosebumps, and I was like, yeah, I'm not keeping up with this shit.
I looked Animorphs when I was young.
Oh, Animorphs?
Yeah.
It's like non-stop.
I thought, the thing is, I was introduced to the show, the Animorphs show, before the book, and I was like, it was a show, yeah. And the thing is, because to me, I was like, when I saw the show first, and then I was like, I found out about the books, I was like, who the hell would read this shit? I was like, unless it was a graphic, well, no, I'm not hating on, I'm not like, no, because I'm like, to me, I thought that this stuff, I thought like these deep lores and shit, like Lord of the Rings and shit, like I know they had illustrations and stuff, but I thought they were more like graphic novels, where it was mostly pictures and shit. And I was just like, well, wait a minute, how do people know what the stuff looked like? I guess that's just because of the detail.
You have to explain it, yeah. As a writer, you have to explain like in detail. That's why.
That's so tedious. It's so tedious.
Well, how do you think people write like 300 pages of books? You have to put in details, exactly, plot, setting. You have to explain everything. People are not gonna know where they're.
No, I should just leave the light on.
No, I know. I was just saying that, like, I guess. Wait, did tape come up on that one? Yeah, I think the tape came up on that one. Oh no, I mean, of course I've read pretty tedious books or read pretty tedious work, but what I was saying more so was that I'm just like, oh, like I remember I tried to read a Tom Clancy book, and it just didn't happen. I don't think I got 100 pages in. I'm like, I'm not getting through this fucking, I'm not doing it.
I tried reading fucking Game of Thrones. I could not get through like 2 or 3 pages.
I'm like, the show is long enough. The show is so it's a lot of content. So, you know.
Yeah, but I love reading though. You guys know? Have you read Jaws?
No.
Read Jaws? No.
Yes, right?
Jaws, what?
Yeah, it was originally a book.
Full of mafia theme. There was a cheating going on, a scandal.
Oh wow.
And like
there's a lot of other elements besides just the shark.
So like Hollywood just wanted it to be like, they wanted you to stick to the stigma about like evil creatures in the ocean or whatever the fuck.
I read the James Bond books, and that guy's basically a druggie. Like
James Bond?
Yeah, like he pops Benzedrine. James Bond basically pops Benzedrine pills, and he's just like openly an alcoholic. That's why but they think it's only martinis. It's like everything he can get his hands on. Like I think in one point, like he sits down, he drinks like 10 steins of beer. And like three whiskey and waters and like 4 scotch and sodas. See, that's that whole, you know, and it's a shame that this became the model. Well, I'm not even ashamed of it. I mean, there's an audience for that, but like it being the priority of this vision of manhood, or this is what a manly man is. A manly man is somebody who's, you know, always fucked up, is willing to take orders from their, you know, boss to go out and, you know, uncover this information, even if it means destroying people, even if it means committing random violence, even if it means destroying other people's careers and material, you know, resources and shit, even if it means like romancing these women and shit and then killing them, you know, putting them in harm's way or disposing of them and shit like that, or just constantly being, you know, fucked up. It's like, it glamorizes this really narrow, destructive, you know, idea of masculinity. I know.
It's like, that's just not sustainable. Like there's so many stories of like dudes. Like, you don't even have to be old to just, like, if you're drinking too much or doing too many drugs and stuff, to know that, like, people constantly piss and shit themselves or are vomiting or just, like, can't keep up with basic shit in their life. It's like, it's embarrassing. There's nothing cool about that shit, you know? And that's why it's kind of, there's nothing cool about that shit.
And the way it was written, he was meant to be, like, the most boring person that you could throw into the craziest situations. That's how Ian Fleming wrote him.
Like Mr. Bean?
Yeah, no, actually Mr. Bean is like slightly a parody of it.
Mr. Bean's lighthearted.
Yeah.
So Mr. Bean is funnier.
I mean, and Rowan Atkinson actually made his own parody of it, Johnny English, which is like Mr. Magoo.
Yes.
Which is Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
It's like Mr. Magoo and James Bond combined. So that's what Johnny English is. So that's very locked into like Britannian, you know, that whole thing.
It's their version of masculinity.
It's just saying that, hey, here's another option. It's like it's like, okay, yeah, y'all want to have your dude bro, you know, just, you know, going out and just partying and shit. Okay, yeah, that has a right to exist, but there also needs to be room for this other one. Oh, there also needs to be room for Revenge of the Nerds. However,
I love Revenge of the Nerds.
However,
I don't like how he took advantage of that shit.
Oh no, but here's the thing.
I've never seen it. So.
What? You never saw it? Basically, Revenge of the Nerds is it's about this a group of nerds that have this problem with this particular group of jocks, and so basically it's a good and evil story told in that respect. But one of the scenes is that there's a costume party of some kind, and the jock's girlfriend, you know, they start having sex. She thinks she's having sex with her boyfriend, but they knocked out the boyfriend, or so, you know, got him out the picture. And one of the nerds took his costume, and then started having, and then you know, went and had sex with his girl unknowingly, which is, you know, rape. But the thing is, in the movie, it's framed as well, she's all like, oh, you're actually the nerd? Okay, this is fine, let's do this. It's all lighthearted and shit. It's framed as like a victory of the nerds in addition to them winning something else in the movie. But really what it is, it's indicative of something bigger, and a better example of this is Big Bang Theory. Is that, because and the thing is, I don't watch the show. I watch people on YouTube and shit who do like, they do commentary on it and shit. And it's a really great channel, I believe it's Pop Detective. I think he called it the adorable misogyny of them, and then also their own masculinity. Is that even a show like Big Bang Theory is that the assumption that's made about nerds or people who, you know, that are perceived to be of that and shit, you know, right? Knowledgeable people. Well, no, because the connotation of nerd is not what it is today, where it's just like, oh, I'm really into this particular thing. It's people who you think that, oh, maybe they're really into a particular thing. They're very smart, very informed, but they don't have the best social skills. Maybe they don't have the best modern grooming. They don't care about modern sensibilities as much. That was the idea of a nerd. Not as being attractive because they didn't fit a mold.
They thought some nerds were like.
I didn't mean unhygienic. I meant just like not being aware of like the hairstyles and like, oh, this shirt is, you know, just trendy. Yeah, excuse me, trendy. Trendy is a better word. Yeah, not being trendy. Yeah, that's better than the connotation of grooming. But what it's indicative of is something even worse, because it still becomes, so on one hand, there's still gatekeeping involved in every respective community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, just like we talked earlier about the priority of white folks in, you know, communities where color is an issue, in certain East Asian countries where everybody's more or less the same palette, like China and shit, you know, they prioritize something like blood types, and different blood types are on a hierarchy and shit. They have to, it's like people, they have to
career choice
and shit. And so one of the things that's pointed out in Big Bang Theory is that the guys still participate in the hazing and policing of each other's masculinity in the same way as other groups that are quote unquote typically seen as more masculine and shit, because they still question how feminine somebody may be acting, or the fact that somebody may not have a girlfriend at that point in their life, you know, saying there's that stigma, or being more vulnerable and shit like that. And then there's the other part of the misogyny, in that the misogyny in the Big Bang Theory and in certain elements of nerdom, I almost said nerdom in nerd culture, is that, oh, a woman can't possibly. No, it's just taking typical misogyny but applying it to that respective culture and stuff. So it's like, while you might listen to a woman in respect on certain other issues or agree that, like, oh, sports, who cares about football, you know, you both say that. The moment she tries to talk about maybe your video game, you know what I'm saying, or your comic book and something about how this isn't being very inclusive of other perspectives, then you'll, you know what I'm saying, you'll just go right to that moment of like, what could you possibly know, or why are you trying to include yourself in my, you know what I'm saying, in my space. Go find your own space, and it's like, whoa, we're sharing this. Yeah, or you have to prove your worth to me, which usually means stripping away your most critical parts of yourself that really pose a challenge to the way I think.
I would feel like it's because they have gone through that also. But also, of course, you know, some people are like, they have that misogyny, right? The misogyny ingrained in them because, you know, other people told them you're not man enough, you know? And so to them it's like, I always think of things as we are animals, you know? We are, you know, no matter what we're just highly intelligent animals, you know? But we are close to being like pack animals. When we're in a group, we're already trying to see who is the leader of the group. We're trying to see who is the weakest. You know, like, it doesn't happen in every group because some of us are more like aware of it, and we don't, you know, we don't try to criticize or put people in like different, you know, boxes and just like who they're supposed to be. But in some groups there are. It's kind of like, you know, back then. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like
you're conditioned to want to look for hierarchies or to try to
hierarchy. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. The hierarchy in the group, in the pack, you know. And it always brings me back to, like, you know, back then when it was like during the 2000s when like the American Pie came out, all the dudes and like all the frat guy movies and shit came out. There was always like that whole hierarchy thing where like one of them tried to like control everybody else.
The power trips, right?
Power trips,
like you're always gonna want to, especially like you said, well, they, you know, nobody gave them that space they created, so maybe that's what gives them the right to like police it. But it's like, no, it doesn't give them the right. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, maybe that's why.
In their mind, well, the thing is that for those people, this is the justification. Might makes right. The fact that I can is what's right to do so.
Power trip, you know? It's like, if I don't have a lot of power now, and I have the ability to create a space in which, you know, that switches, you know, then
when you have power, it's like you
don't know how to go on a mind trip.
Yeah, you don't know how to control that power because you never learned from someone who has power and knew how to use it responsibly. You know, kind of like when you look up to your parents and it's like they have power against you, but they taught you how to use that power responsibly. It's not like when you look up to other people and they have power, like you said, you deify them and you think, oh, that's the only right of way because I look up to them. You know, it's like, no, that's why, like, I don't know, that's why it's kind of dangerous for people, like, you know, of course, to see other people as God. That's why I don't see other people as God. But that's the danger of it, because then you weren't taught your own power. You were just taught, oh, I'm powerless, so I guess I have to follow this person who is like the leader.
Or that we're all kind of like our own thing.
Exactly.
We're so quick to, again, try to associate other people from our own experiences and try to box them in. Sorry. And again, coming from only what we know and like what we've heard versus like, hey, like, tell me more about yourself. You know, how much do you know about yourself that you can share with me? You know, so I can get to know you. Like.
And here's the thing about that I just read today, and it actually has to do with a different issue. So I shared this article, a research article on my page, and it talks about how we overestimate hold on, let me pull it up just so I'm not talking out of my ass. But it's a research article about people, how we have to be prompted to consider other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one thing to sit here, you know, and say, in this situation and stuff, that like, oh, just be considerate of other people's feelings. But when you're just walking down the street, when you're just in your zone about your shit and everything, you're just thinking about it, self-awareness. You're just thinking, you know what I'm saying, you're in your zone, in the zone, as we like to say, right? And
no, it's true. We have to check ourselves too. Yeah.
You know, but this is also why it's the importance of listening to criticism and recognizing that other points of view, but also that all points of view are coming in with different levels of legitimacy or different weights. They're all valued in a different way because of the the history, the different experiences and
It's your
shit.
experience. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of like the whole hurt thing, where it's like,
If it hurts you, it hurts you. Like, I'm no one to tell you, like, that you're, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like, emotions-wise or feelings-wise.
Yeah.
Like, if something hurt you, it hurt you. That's fine. I don't have to understand it again. It's like, I think that's where I'm kind of like understanding the whole criticism point that you're making is like, yeah, like criticism coming from whoever it's coming from is valid to them, and that opens up a space again to be able to, you know, maybe stand in a different part of the room that you never thought you'd stand in, and like just kind of try to see things from a different perspective.
Kind of circling back to what you were talking about earlier with the Big Bang Theory, I think it was saying something about like sexism with like the female characters, like how could she know about these particularly, or assuming that she doesn't know anything about the video games. And it actually brings me back to an incident that like happened with me and with a female on Facebook. And the thing is, she accused me of mansplaining, when in reality, the reason why I was explaining this to her was, the whole reason I was explaining this to her is because this particular band or artist was so niche that pretty
You
much
weren't sure if she'd be aware of them or
of
not.
anything, yeah, because like, oh yeah, this is so and so from this group. And it's like, I'm sick of you always. I'm like, I'm sure you haven't heard of this like at all, and you're already accusing me of mansplaining. I'm like, you know,
You know what?
barely anybody period has heard of this
I feel like
person.
mansplaining was they changed switched mansplaining with arrogance, because anybody can be arrogant.
Yeah,
Anybody
exactly.
can be like, I know better than you.
Yeah,
You know,
talk
like-
down to you, act as if you don't know shit.
Exactly, yeah.
And the thing is, oftentimes, even if somebody says something and says a couple things that I may already know, once again, because I try to keep in mind that everybody has different experiences and something to contribute to the conversation, maybe I'll hear 3 or 4 things I already heard, but then I'll hear 2 or 3 other additional things that I haven't heard. And so it's like, so on the other part of that, criticism and shit or identity politics and stuff is that just because you come from a vulnerable group and you have a very niche experience, you still have to leave yourself open to other people asking questions or other people approaching it with different levels of understanding and shit, and not just being so reactive when somebody doesn't show the response to something that you want.
Yeah, and we're talking about the people who just like to think out loud sometimes. Like, sometimes I have to say things out loud to myself, and I'm in a group. It just so happens that I'm in a group. So it's like, if we can learn again to be a little bit more self-aware and a little bit less egotistical, perhaps this person isn't mansplaining to you. Perhaps this person isn't even talking to you.
Yeah.
They might be just talking to themselves, because I do that shit all the
or
time.
honestly trying to help, because some people see differently, our inclinations are all different. We were all
Exactly. So it's just like, again, being able to, be a little bit more empathetic towards one another, especially if we're all here, to participate in the conversation, whatever it may be, et cetera. But anyway.
Yeah, because it reminds me of with my sister too, sometimes she says some stuff where I'm just like, I'm not stupid, I understand. But it's like, that's
for you.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't mean it like that. But it's like, that's just me taking offense. And I'm just like, maybe I should chill the fuck out. And she was just trying to explain shit to me, and I'm just like, oh, well, you think you know better than me? I don't know.
The ego.
Yeah, exactly.
And what was it you're saying, because you're talking about some anti-intellectualism and stuff like that. You always be open for information, no matter who's coming from. Even when you kind of know ahead of time that some of them could be gunning for you, because at times that's kind of why I'm I listened to a podcast of a gentleman who in the wrestling community, he's very polarizing, and many people that I enjoy hate this individual. Yeah, his name is Mr. Jim Cornette, and many people that I like are big fans of him. But the thing is, he has such a deep insight to things. He knows things about wrestlers from the 1920s and 30s that nobody today would know anything about. So,
but then he also has he also knows how to really bring in the human element of people's experiences and tie the shit into grander narratives around entertainment and the nature of like the relationship between artists and what it takes to actually run a creative team and make it a business and shit. So he's very intelligent and sees the different levels and different shit. But like Matt said, he can be very polarizing because he likes to make he likes to push conventions. He has like off-color humor, you know what I'm saying?
And he has his own personal agendas and his own personal vendettas that he includes into it because he has. Yeah.
Of course, like everybody. No, but what were you asking me to say?
But like his vendettas are very specific. It's like, oh, I don't like this individual because he kind of ruined the business for it. You know, he's making this thing popular. He's performing this way. He's wearing this type of outfit, and that's not acceptable to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like he's very particular. Like it has to be the way it was in 1984.
It's gatekeeping.
Yeah, gatekeeping.
He doesn't want to change anything. He's very.
And he literally actually is the gatekeeper because he was the runner of the wrestling school for the WWE for so many years, for almost like a decade. He was the he trained. He knew The Rock when he was younger. He knew Stone Cold Steve Austin when and he knew Hulk Hogan. And he hates Hulk Hogan. He has a very he's like 50 something. He's like late 50s. Late 50s. He's a trainer. He is literally the gatekeeper. He would fire people. He would hire people. He would prevent people from being hired. He wrote the storylines too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the thing is that like I don't want people to lose the fact, the idea in their mind that it's like I want people to constantly be pushing the line just as much as I want people to be critical. You know what I'm saying? Like I like off-color humor. There's plenty of jokes, inside jokes and shit that I make that could get me quote unquote canceled, or that would just be they wouldn't be very considerate in certain circles. You know what I'm saying? But it's like once again, it's like it's all about who do you have influence over, or who might be influenced by what you say and shit. And so for the last topic I want to get into, I want to talk about this thing called radical centrism, which is basically it's a type of centrism. It's the both sides have a point or both sides are equal type of centrism. And I want to use this reference to this South Park. Now, South Park is a animated series that's been around for a couple of decades at this point. I think the creators of them, they're staunch, libertarians. They seem to bounce back and forth between either being left or right wing libertarians. But basically, the ethos of the shit that they do is basically they made it seem cool to just say, fuck it, I don't give a fuck about what either side has to say. And that's sort of elevating the idea that you're somehow above the conversation, you're above the argument because you're not taking a side, because both sides are equally, dumb. But it's like, no, if one side is saying that, we need to, tax, saying the rich and shit, and the other side is saying, no, the rich are the victims. I'm sorry, I can't just accept that those, and the thing is, there are even worse arguments and shit like that, or that, actually, here's a better one that even, as a matter of fact, they made in the series. Global warming is real versus global warming, or excuse me, climate change is real versus climate change is not. And the thing is,
Martian, right? That episode with his name. No, I forgot the name, but yeah.
Starving Marvin?
Starving Marvin.
I don't know about Starving Marvin, but it was the one where they had Man Bear Pig.
Yeah, Al Gore.
Man Bear Pig and Al Gore. And basically what they were doing they were just mocking Al Gore, because this was Al Gore was running for president, when he was one of the first couple of figures that really talk about climate change.
Yeah.
He's always that was always his thing. And he got mocked by South Park. Now South Park, mind you, some people will be very flippant about. Yeah, they were. But here's the thing, though, is that once again about the difference in why it's a big deal when somebody has a big platform, the ideas that they spread, and why jokes are not just jokes and shit. They're affirmations of ways of thinking and ways of considering things, because so the thing is that South Park is one of the most popular cartoons of all time, right? And basically what they did in that, making this argument that, the people who are arguing for climate change have an equal argument to the people arguing against it, is that it's disingenuous, and this is something called confirmation bias, or excuse me, not confirmation bias, but it's neutrality bias. neutrality bias. It's where you try to portray yourself as being neutral. Agree with both. It's basically saying like you agree with both sides and shit, or that you see both sides have a point and shit. When both sides are making completely opposite points, if one thing is true, the other thing can't be true. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that like depending on what side you're taking, that shit can be dangerous because it gets people accustomed. And the thing is, it's not like people, oh, you're gonna watch this episode of South Park and shit and just be like, oh, fuck it. But the thing is that you might hear it and then it will. You know, saying the next time when you start hearing about climate change shit in the news or start seeing about stuff in school and shit, you'll just, that seed will be planted of being skeptical of like, like, well, how do they really know what they're talking about? You know what I'm saying? When simply, this is something that you haven't really had to grapple with the information, but you got introduced to it through this art and shit.
Well, like we were talking about before, when you said we were saying that people just they don't really know their beliefs. They just join groups or because they were influenced as younger. Because I used to watch South Park too, and I remember certain things where I'm just like, oh shit, like, but of course the older you get, you're just like, oh my god, that was the stupidest thing. Like, why did I believe that? But again, it was like, oh, everybody's watching South Park. Like, oh, I want to be cool too. I want to be their friend. So it's like you believe that because you want to feel accepted. So and you don't really know your beliefs fully.
Revelation.
Revelation. Yep.
I've been high all the time.
Go ahead.
No, but speaking of which, I mean, I guess it's been ingrained ever since then, but I was in first grade, and I just came from the Philippines. I was like a 7-year-old, like what first grader, not knowing so much English or whatever the fuck. And so my mom put me in Barney's sweats.
Oh.
Barney the dinosaur sweats, right? And I don't know who the fuck Barney is, I'm just a little Filipina girl, like, I just got here to this fucking, like, that's me learning the country, I guess. Yeah. And so I was like, damn, it's been ingrained in me, and I'm like, wow, people will literally make fun of what you have on because they're judging that you are associated with that sort of stuff. So like ever since I was in first grade, so ever since then I was like aware of what I was gonna wear.
So somebody made fun of you when you were wearing Barney?
Barney sweats. Like ever since then I felt like I had to be like accepted.
Yeah.
And I was a little first grader, but like as I grew up, I'm like, fuck that. Why am I gonna stick to a standard or a stereotype that I'm supposed to like act a certain way or go towards the standard that I have to prove I'm worthy of because I'm not from here. Like, I have to reach some sort of like glass ceiling that's up there, but not really up there, but it's like ingrained in you. Like, it's ingrained in you that you have to like.
Yeah, it's about social inclusion. Yeah, it's about you have to include. You have to.
Make fun of you for liking something that you're like.
Yeah, you have to have the verified. You have to be. It's basically like the blue check mark on Twitter and shit. You have to be verified by saying the right click. Saying that you are properly representing or properly symbolic of the movement. By the respective gatekeepers and shit. But I don't want to get too far off the original point I was trying to make, which is it's recognizing that of course social cliques and shit, and being wary of like, okay, questioning, okay, why do I have this preference, or where did this desire to belong here or behave this way come from?
Yeah.
But the bigger point that I was trying to get to once again is that not letting ourselves be, or making sure that we are fortified in the conviction of our experiences and having a clear, concise way to explain ourselves, because depending on what facet of your identity is at play, your argument or your perspective, may be handicapped or have priority, in a situation. And so it's fortifying yourself from getting swayed by the argument that both sides have a point. It's like, no, sometimes one side has a point and the other side is just reacting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want things to change or they don't want the inclusion of this other perspective and shit. And the thing is that like it's something that the more you keep in mind, the more that you'll recognize is that it's something that's so it's something that is so pervasive, you know what I'm saying, in the media and entertainment that we have that, you know, as a matter of fact, there was something I shared on my podcast page on Facebook about the Star Wars series. Now, I think I've seen the original like trilogy or whatever Star Wars, and then I've seen like the 2000s, and I haven't kept up with anything like this past, you know, decade or whatever, you know, right? So I'm not that familiar with the lore. But basically, there was a comment that was made that that the framing of this last Star Wars trilogy is that there's this villain, I guess his name is Kylo Ren, is that he gets forgiven, you know what I'm saying, by the Force or whatever, after he loses. I'm assuming he loses, I guess, if he has to be forgiven or whatever. Even despite the fact that he blew up 3 planets and killed billions of people and shit, but that his minions, or the, you know, people and shit, are disposed of or just, you know, replaced and shit. It's kind of like because what it's framing is that even if you fucked up, if you had power or if you're influential and shit like that, there's always room for forgiveness of you. Whereas the lower people who are actually carrying out the bulk of your shit, the bulk of your deeds and shit, they get the harsher punishment because that's just reinforcing the status quo. You know, politics and shit. But once again, it's just showing that, and the thing is, the comment that I made, I was like, look, I don't really know the lore all that well. I don't know if this is the proper way to frame the events of the film. I said, but if it is, then it's reinforcing this particular line of thinking, which is really pervasive in society and our media and entertainment. And I said, if that's the case, then this is super troubling because it's just reinforcing. Yeah, exactly. Because then you'll see. Yeah, exactly. You'll be like, oh, you're the It's like some regular worker from Burger King and shit who stole some, you know, burgers and shit, food to feed their kid and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, these bankers and shit who, you know, fleece generations and shit, and then they don't have to go to jail and shit. Like in China and Japan, like some Asian countries and shit, they kill corrupt politicians and business people. And I'm like, why don't you folks only do that shit?
Okay, well, yeah, that brings me back to like your original point, which was like neutrality and like how there's sometimes there's a side that's the right side.
Yeah.
And it made me think of this quote by pt.II, which is, if you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Yeah. And it's absolutely true. And I think going into another point that you guys were talking about, like in the media and in movies and stuff like that, South Park more specifically, when you're talking about how they kind of romanticize the idea of being Switzerland, of the, not to bash Switzerland, you know, whatever, I don't know much about it, but, you know, people use that as a reference here to neutrality. And it's like, yeah, they put this in a sense of glorification, and the media does it too, and a lot of shows do it, and just the mainstream, I think that's the agenda. And I wrote in my notes, they give people permission to feel neutral about situations because it almost provides us relief. It almost, it's like, oh, thank you. Like, I don't have to make a decision on this terrible thing. And it's like, we forget, right? We forget that it's we, the people. And I know that's like a very American thing, but it's like, it's applicable to not just America, but the people of the planet. And it's like, we the people will create the community that we live in. And by being passive, we forget that, you know, we are the ones giving permission. Permission is not given to us. We're relinquishing it. And it's disguised as our choice. But it's like, you're an
accessory,
to the crime.
Of erasing your own identity.
But you have no blame for it. It's like your hands are washed, you know, it's like, fine, kill him. But it's like, or you don't even have to say it. It's just like, oh, you just not, you know.
I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to say
yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you didn't say no, then are you a murderer? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it goes into more of a philosophical thing, but
a more tangible thing is like actually what's happening like right now. It's like it does affect you, it does affect the people around you, it does affect the way that you live every day, and by being passive, you're not doing anybody a favor, not even yourself.
There's another example to that though, that basically, because you're talking about being neutral in the situation, there's also being helpless though, because you say being able to stop the killer or saying go ahead and kill. Well, if you're the little child trying to stop the killer, you're gonna get killed yourself.
Right.
When you get your hands involved. So rather than washing your hands, you yourself aren't trying to get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Of course, there's an element of self-preservation there.
Yeah.
Which does need to be brought up. But I was,
And a privilege. He's right. Not everyone has the privilege of you know what I mean, being able to voice their opinion and voice for the right versus the wrong.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, absolutely, absolutely. That's an important to recognize. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's not go too far. It's like when people who don't have their papers is like, oh man, there's this person, this woman who she doesn't have her papers, but she stands up for other people who are immigrants also, and she's not afraid of being taken away because she knows she's fighting. And there are people, like I said, we all say, it's the community that we have to back up these people who have the balls to get up and fight for their rights and their people's rights.
Waymaker.
Exactly, because like you said, some of us we don't have the I don't want to say the confidence, but yeah, sometimes it's confidence to stand up in front of a group and say this is wrong. But we have to protect the ones who do. We have to protect.
Or at least support. Again, voice. Don't be passive.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, there are situations.
And there's only so much you yourself can do once they take you out, or make you useless, or put you in enough, slap you with enough fines to the point that you're not only ineffective, but you're irrelevant to the situation. Yeah, I mean, two examples for this would be, I think, the what's going on in Uganda, where gay people are being murdered as we speak.
Yeah.
And because of the way the United Nations work, the Blue Berets are being sent over there. And then, so the only way for that to be stopped is say GLAAD gets involved with the mercenaries. And then here's another problem with that. Mercenaries are mostly right-wing. So you're gonna have to both violate national treaties, become a military filibuster, go to Uganda with an AK-47, and actually have to fight the freaking Ugandan government and save gay people. So, and then another example of this is China. So we know about everything that's going on there with the Uyghur population.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, not everything going on.
Not if you're a tanky.
Yeah, and there's only so much you could do to fight a government run by billions of people with, there are things you could do.
And the thing is, our governments work together. And if you're already powerless against your government, or fighting at such a disadvantage, then how the fuck are you what leverage do you really have against that? Against that,
And honestly, they've brought down our confidence so low that we don't know how to fight for ourselves. It's
not our confidence, but information.
Stuff but no.
Because that's why as all this information has started coming out, more people have been protesting, more people come out and shit. And that's why, you'll hear some people who want to romanticize, can we just go back to when we all got along? No, because that's when we were more ignorant. That's when things, once again, it's just reinforcing the status quo. You just want things to go back.
It was more so in a state of ignorance,
it was a state of bliss where you were unaware. And I think it's oh shit, man, now, damn it, my eyes are open, I want to go back to sleep. And it's it really is that comfort. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, because, going back to mental health, or relating it to mental health, it's when you're in a depression, it's you have to go through those things sometimes to just survive. And some people just don't have they don't want, or they don't have the ability to even make decisions and get on one side or get on the other. So,
and not just that, but some people have families too. So a lot of people, when I saw videos, a lot of people were fighting against, there are people who protest and fight against the police and the people who are trying to shut them down. Those people, speaking personally, I've always, self-preservation, again, it's I want to do things with my life that I want to, inspire the people to do, but then again, in my mind, I'm just why the fuck am I not fighting? You know, like, why am I not, like, out there fighting for all this shit? And it's like, we've had that shit ingrained where we have other priorities, or, like, some people have families and they can't. It's like...
You always think about, because you're only thinking about the collateral, because, like you said, so basically, and I guess this would be like the last thing we talk about, is that, so this is a left-wing space. I'm a left-winger. My politics are very left-wing and shit. And when I say that, what I mean is I want as many different voices that want to get along, as many different people that want to get along and shit, to work together and shit. And so, shit, what was I trying to say? We were saying it was self-preservation, but what was the bigger thing?
Oh, that, like,
dissidents and shit. Okay, so, the history of left-wing politics and shit. So left-wing shit has been at quite a disadvantage and it's suffered a lot of losses and shit. And what's happened since, so like with the Cold War, you know, saying there was the Red Scare and shit, there's been, you know, just back-to-back movements in trying to undo the reforms of FDR and, you know, all the different shit like that, right? And so, you know, left-wingers, a lot of our leaders and shit, they get, whether it's social justice or economic justice or something, they get murdered. So that's one of the things about self-preservation. We hear the stories about, you know, the government and shit, you know, going and fucking up people's families or fucking up shit.
You want to talk about creating an art form where you're actually making a difference in the community and, you know, speaking out on certain things, and it's like,
yeah.
Like people are not going to talk about that.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's not even so much that. It's not even always that explicit. What happens more so often is like with Jackson Pollock, who was part of the abstract movement and shit. So people, the CIA and shit, as a move of soft power, they started using his art, and they set up like fake institutions and fake newspapers and shit, and said that this is the new art form, this is what artists should aspire to, because it's all about cultural hegemony or cultural supremacy, of saying culturally this is what is going to be given value.
It's almost like taking away power, right? Like it's neutrality. Is that what you're saying? Like,
well, no, it's using it as a tool of soft power to encourage cultural supremacy, or cultural hegemony, as it's sometimes called. Because if you have all these magazines and you have all of these powerful people in these institutions saying that this is what's considered high quality art and this is what's considered garbage and shit, then you're going to come to accept that. And so there's a certain wing of critics and artists who look at Jackson Pollock and the whole abstract painting movement, and they think the whole thing was a CIA op. And it's like, no, it was co-opted by the CIA, unknowing to most of the artists and people involved in shit. They thought that they were just running into people who were interested in their shit and wanted to platform it. They didn't realize that these clandestine organizations were platforming this shit. And because the thing is, like, so much of modern art movements have been about challenging political and social narratives, meta-narratives.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like, well, it's kind of the same thing that happens culturally, you know, like a culture can have something that's very meaningful politically and socially, and it's very powerful, and then it's all of a sudden taken onto the mainstream, or it's culturally appropriated to the point where it just becomes like this trendy thing that everyone forgot the meaning about. You know what I mean? And it's like, again, where we cannot be neutral in those situations, especially now that we have such a voice. You know, even to the people around us. Who cares if 10 people hear you on your Instagram? Like, those 10 people were just educated on something they had no idea about. So why not use it? You don't know where those seeds, you know, are going to grow. So, it just reminds me of how, tying the art to, like, culture and mainstream, like the cool things that we all see, you know, they all kind of stem from something that usually means a lot to a certain group of people, and it has a lot of meaning. So it's important to look into those things, you know? Yeah.
And then another thing about left-wing movements that we got to remember is that because we're at such a disadvantage in different institutions and access to resources and shit like that, is we have to be mindful of these things. Like I get sick of when I hear leftists and shit, or people that are involved in left-wing politics, whom, once again, the deification of like, such and such activist was so poor that they had to borrow, water and shit like that. I was like, no, I was like, no, these people who are putting their lives on the line to shift society, they should be living comfortably, or they should, have a little, they should be fine. I'm sick of like, it's this romanticization of poverty, and that somehow being anti-capitalist or being critical of capitalism means that you have to live in poverty, which under a capitalist framework just takes away your ability to challenge it. You know what I'm saying? And then people want to like criticize Colin Kaepernick. It's like, there's a certain point where money does become a hindrance to your humanity. But for somebody like him, I don't feel like that's the way. So I'm like, if he has a deal with Nike, and if he can finesse the NFL and shit like that, and continue on keeping his message up and shit, I was like, he's protecting himself, because they're gonna, because even if the government doesn't try to take you out and shit, so much of the general public who see the shit as a threat, the reactionaries, right wing and the conservatives and shit, the Nazis, the fascists and shit, right? They're gonna be trying to take you out, and they're so much more prominent. So it doesn't even have to be the government. And so I just kind of feel like people, we need to be fortified mentally and emotionally to stand up for ourselves and and stand up for other people, but also understand that we can be in danger, and that sometimes you got to throw them hands, or sometimes you got to be able to come to terms. You got to speak on the terms of, you can't be naive about your circumstances and shit. If I know that there are a bunch of people around me, or certain people, certain groups who carry guns and shit, I'm not gonna go and try to start a fist fight with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to try to maybe confront them in different terms or different playing field, but there may need to be a confrontation and shit. So it's just that balance of knowing that, like, there's times, measuring how much you need to speak up, if you need to speak up, and what step B might be depending on the reaction you get.
The main thing is you're most effective to the movement that you support in more than one capacity, because you think right away it's like, I gotta grab a gun, fight them, or I gotta scream at them, I gotta this. No, it's so many. There's a gajillion different ways you can go about it, and it's endless. And in fact, sometimes you're more effective writing a book, or you're more effective doing speeches, or you're more effective just talking to one person at a time.
Like the movement, like,
just one person, manuals, one person at a time, writing articles, blah, 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 the list kind of goes on, you could even, release a popular snack product with, in fact, I'm kind of the history guy, if you're wondering, but I'll pull again from history, you could even really go under their noses and really send out the message, because, example from history, there was a time in England when only the kings, when the first Protestant king came into place, and the people that wanted the Catholic king were really protesting it, but they couldn't show it in public. So the way they did it is that they painted this painting, and that this painting actually hung in one of the Protestant royals' family's houses, and they had no idea that this was a Catholic loyalist painting. So it was exactly, and it's actually a painting of a glass of wine with a steel glass of wine, and then passing a ring over it. So that ring symbolizes the crown, the monarchy, and that pond is the English Channel, and the other side of that pond is France, and the north side of that pond is England. And the person in France is the Catholic pretender to the throne, the king, that they want on the crown, James III. That's the one they wanted. And in truth, the national anthem of England was actually written in support of the Catholic pretender. So, and they're still using that as their anthem right now.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, and they're using that's in support of their opposition, and they only just recently said, it's okay for you to be Catholic if you're King of England again. So they only just allow that. But that, and so both their national anthem, subliminally. So you could go under their noses, under their heads, over their heads, whatever way. You don't have to have the gun.
There's more than one way.
Like a jillion.
That's the worst part.
I think that is such an important point that you just made, and I feel like that should be voiced more, and we need to talk about it a lot more, because we forget, it's such in our face, like,
war fighting, punk rock, like you have to go in there and be like battlefront.
Super confrontational.
Yeah, super confrontational. And it's like, when you think about, again, bringing it back to like movies or like stories that, you know, kind of not only warn us about the future, but just, you know, add to the possibilities of things that we can let happen. And it's like, if you pay attention to these books, if you pay attention to these movies, they're telling you that these are societies, you know, infrastructures of anarchy that were underground, like you just said, and so there's everything, you know, you have everyone from like handymen, construction people, gardeners, doctors, like nurses, they're all part of the, you know what I mean, of like the revolution, but it's like quietly, and that's okay, and it's like, I love that you just made that point, because I feel like personally, for such a long time, I was searching for a way to word it, and I couldn't, it was like on the tip of my tongue, like, I couldn't find a way to like get it together, and you just did, and I think it's so important to talk about this, because I don't want to say I'm more passive, but I'm definitely more like chill, you know, usually. I'm not so much of the confrontational type, I'm more empathetic, I consider myself more of a giver, and for so long I think people like me, like the sensitive, softy types, not that we're not resilient, we are, but we've been kind of looked down on when it comes to the talk of revolution, when it comes to the talk of like standing up for yourself, because it's like, oh well, you need to be a certain way to do so, and I think that just sort of not just allows people or gives them permission really, but more so makes it known that it's a reality, like, that's okay, like, you can be yourself and still be for the movement and still play a huge role, you know? In your own way. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up.
It's because when you bring it back to like a uniform behavior, it's like, you've got to march with us, you got to wear this uniform, you got to wear this bandana, that you kind of go a little bit, you know,
it becomes authoritarian.
Yeah,
and the thing is and the thing is, authoritarian of any flavor is not what I want. You know, like And
then just think about a war, right? Like, okay, like if you just have a whole bunch of people fighting, like who's taking care of these people that are fighting? So it's like you have to think, you know, behind the scenes, behind the curtain, like who's, you know what I mean, like who's kind of running the show here?
War.
The support structure.
War economy. I mean, we're basically kind of we've been living in a perpetual war economy, you know, where more and more resources have been prioritized towards the war machine. And it's basically, it's just austerity, but it's just creeping. And slowly but surely, it's like, they give more tax breaks to the rich, they stop investing in infrastructure and shit, they stop putting into these different programs and, you know, school and all this other shit and updating stuff. So it's like, so it's, like you said, there's multiple voices that need to be heard, there's multiple roles that can be played, and there's different levels of value depending on the situation. And we also got communication, and we also got to accept the fact that not everything is going to succeed, but not just be falling into cynicism, recognize, you know, just going back to the drawing board and seeing what else we can do. And then also not falling into hero worship and just valorizing the thing of the way it was done before. It's like the whole point of it's like identity politics is important, but ultimately what we want to do is get to a place where we are able to recognize everybody's base humanity from the jump, and then everything else is able to be attributed fairly in the conversation or whatever. So, but yeah, we're almost getting 3 hours, so. This is pretty good. I appreciate everybody coming through. We got through a lot of the topics I wanted to get to. This has been episode 6. Thank you all to all my guests.
Meditation.
And I also want to say something else, because like I love to move down. Where to move down. Remember when you were talking about how like affluent people don't take like their kids go to like, because like when I was in high school, my favorite band still is System of a Down, and I always remember, you know, why don't presidents fight the war? Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor? Yeah. You know. So it's just, I don't know. I just thought about that.
System of a Down. You know, I even though I don't really follow this stuff anymore. It's like, they were also at the time like somebody who was like, the music was like, you know, when you get the machine, it was like, you know, it's got that energy and shit, but it was making me, the first time that I was becoming like starting to really question, aware of like society and the way it is, and starting to really dig deeper into like like what is, why are things the way that they are? Why does, why isn't it accepted as the
Again,
norm?
going back to when you guys were saying that, like violence doesn't really change anything, but like people who have done art and music and all this stuff have influenced people more positively than actual war and war heroes. Well,
I wouldn't say that violence definitely does. Violence is very effective.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, it's very effective, but I'm saying it's not the only.
Sometimes
it's not
it
the
is the only way.
Sometimes it is the only. Sometimes it is the only way. And it's important to recognize that not just when it may be necessary for yourself, but also in the response to whatever it is that you're doing.
And the power structure.
And the power structure. Because, and to close this off, is that because recently there was a story in Brazil of it was on Netflix actually, and in Brazil there was a comedy duo who made a movie where the main character is Jesus, but he's gay, and so there was a there was a huge. And then, of course, there was a huge pushback and a reactionary pushback and shit, right?
Tell us the title, please.
I don't know the title, but that's not even the point of the story, so let me finish.
I feel like if we Google gay Jesus, we're gonna get gay Jesus Brazil.
But basically what it's become, and it's already been settled in court, fortunately, is that they tried to get the film banned and shit, but a judge shot that shit down. So it was kind of like a case for rights, for free speech, expression, and then also representation of LGBT folks, right? But the real point I'm trying to get to is, but they responded with violence. Actually, a better example is Jesus Charlie? Was that one 2014 in France or whatever, where they drew a picture of Muhammad?
Oh, okay.
And then some of them got killed. There was a violent reaction and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, I'm always going to lean on the side of free speech and criticism and shit like that, and pushing the boundaries of good taste, even if it offends me, because I do, that's the only way things change. But it's like, I also have to be aware that, like, I may have to, being aware of the response, you know what I'm saying, and protecting myself. Because as much as I just like being vulnerable and being soft and being like that, I can't be naive about the world that I live in. So, and I hope nobody else, and I hope everybody else can internalize that. Speak up for yourself, but deep down, don't.
Speak up for others.
Speak up for yourself, speak up for others, and know what is the point of all these values and these ideas and these movements and shit if you're not alive to, if you're not around to actually, see the shit happen.
The entirely opposite stance.
Okay.
I've lost all fear. Yeah. I used to.
Oh, it's not opposite. You're just further along.
Perhaps. Growing up, I used to be like completely fearful, very mindful of everything. Spiritually speaking, I went through like this huge kind of breakthrough where now it's just like I see the world a lot differently, but. I can also, of course, understand how valuable life is, and just because I see it a certain way doesn't mean that everybody does see it that same way. But I get what you're saying. Be mindful of what you say. But I think it's important also, to not romanticize, like the whole martyr thing, like well, this person, they did this like in such an extreme way, like
this is how they suffered.
Rest in peace. I think it's more important to just like do what you can in your own way.
That was my thing too. Is like I was like before too. I was when all this shit would happen. Like in a way, I don't know. I'm pretty sure everybody's the same way. Where it's like all this shit that's happening. It's like it pisses me off so much. I'm like I wish I could do something, but like do something like and of course fighting back always comes to my mind. I'm just like I'm sorry, and I'm just like oh my god I need water. And I'm like and I'm like, do I really want to become a martyr? Because it's like the people who become martyrs are the ones that like, they're back then when we had less population, of course these people who became martyrs made more changes. But now that there's like a lot of people and people dying in secret, it's like you can't really become a martyr.
unless you have, like you said, that platform where like everybody, like for example, if a celebrity were to be killed because they were speaking their mind, it was like, oh, they're a martyr. But if like some person, you know, in like Pomona or something was speaking their mind and they got killed, like no big deal.
Yeah. And I think this is where it ties, like for me at least, both of your guys' points together, or both of the points together is like, be smart about what you're doing, because if you're gonna die for the cause, like you gotta make sure it's like it's worthy just because it's spread, but then also not coming from an egotistical sense of like, oh, if I do this, like I'm gonna become like famous for like, you know what, I'm gonna be known for this. Like no, like there is.
But the thing is, that's a resource though. That gives you access to resources, fame and.
Oh right, okay, I see what you're saying. Like more people know about like the information, you mean, or.
Well, what I'm saying is that, like you said, like, oh, somebody shouldn't want to be famous, but it's like, well, no, that's a calculation.
Well, not do it
like,
just for that, I mean, like.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we can't, but the thing is, you know, it's like, you can't control that.
Right.
You know, so all you can do is just hope that you can influence, that there's somebody in that person's circle who can influence them to be confused, be like, okay, yeah, you know, it's great to want to, you know, want fame and stuff, but every once in a while, did you, like, talk about these issues or recognize, you know, these things. Yeah, so, but yeah, so everybody stay fortified, stay smart, and push back in the ways that you can, and take the resources away from the right-wingers, the conservatives, the reactionaries, and feed it to lefties and subversive elements.
Support local businesses.
Support local businesses, farms, independent media, and content creators.
You don't have to grow in order to eat healthy.
That's right. You don't have to grow in order to eat healthy.
Community gardens and
Farmers markets,
yes,
mom and pop.
Basically just communicate amongst yourselves, see how you guys can help each other, you know, build more of a community versus like a consumerism type of society that we've been sort of not just introduced to, but sort of like inducted into.
Hurry up with those rocket roller skates.
Hurry up.
I have a donation drive next week at KDJ. It's in Covina. It'll be around 5 minutes from here.
She's performing.
And I'm also performing. So it'll be Ill Cruz and Project This Is Bad. That same week, on Thursday, we will have Pomona Loud open mic night on January 23rd. And for Erotica Night, February the 13th, we are having it at Pomona Loud also at the Alley Gallery. So yeah, if you guys wanna go to those shows,
Get space for a cause.
get space for a cause,
For a good cause.
it'll go towards Project This in the Bag, which is my nonprofit, and I help the homeless ladies have feminine hygiene products, toiletries, and personal hygiene items, basic necessities, and those will go towards Home for Hope in Pomona. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Samson.
Yeah, all right, that's been episode 6 of It's All Relative podcast. I will see y'all next time. Thank you.